Stacy, will you look at the text or the chat I just sent you?
Hate to hear that, but thanks for letting me know.
We are here on a review hearing, conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Galvan is making our record this morning. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Nerti and Grani is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Jay Michelson on behalf of Jessica Rube. I see that she is present and I have not had recent contact with her.
All right, and Mr. Austin is not in the waiting room either. He's not present.
Staci Zavala on behalf of Xander.
Okay. All right, Ms. Ongrani, good morning, and
Morning,
what's our
guys.
update today?
About Xander, he's doing very good in placement, well bonded with foster parents, and also have a really good visitation with siblings, Noah. I think it's twice a month for an hour each session. Up to date with the medical and dental, and he's 10 months, he's teething, and he's very thriving in a foster parents' home. So far as Jessica Rib, last contact with her was July 24. I have received a new number from Jessica's mom, Sharon Rib, and I tried to call and message Jessica. She answered the text message on July 26, asking about rehab, and I notified her about the rehab place, and she said that she wanted to go to rehab, but then after that, I haven't heard from her since July 24, and I tried to call her again yesterday on August 14 to notify about the hearing today, and she never responded. As far as Daniel Austin, also I haven't heard back from him. The letter that I sent never been replied by Mr. Daniel Austin. That's all I have.
Where do we think he is? In Oklahoma?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he still in jail?
Yes.
Okay. As far as we know, he's still incarcerated then.
Yes.
Okay.
I called the facility in Allen Gamble because due to the paternity testing that Miss Terry wanted to send him, and she did not have a social security for Daniel, so I called and then they confirmed that he's still there at the moment.
Okay. So, but we've got that in the works, right? On getting him,
Yes.
getting the genetic testing done.
She couldn't do the testing because we couldn't verify the social security. From the background check that I found, there were like 5 social security. That was, I don't know which one is correct, and yeah, couldn't verify which one. So I don't know if Terry found the correct social security number for him. And I tried to call the facility, and of course they couldn't share that social security with me. So yeah.
And he won't, I mean, he couldn't just verify it?
I couldn't get hold of him.
Did the testing, I mean, did the lab people actually go out to where he's incarcerated to?
No, ma'am. I'm not sure about that.
Hey.
But
Hey, Nerdy, did you get a notification from Kim last week? I think she got the social security number. Did you get it?
no, I didn't, sir.
You may want to go back and look in emails. Kim said she sent you something with that social security number, so she thinks she found it.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so hopefully so, and then we can get back on that and try to get that done.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. Okay.
Your Honor, do we need, right now he's alleged and he's incarcerated. We got a final coming in October. Do we need to go ahead and get him an attorney?
Well, my hope was to get the genetic testing done and
Yes,
then
ma'am.
determine whether I was going to appoint or not.
Yes, ma'am.
And, I know we're getting closer to that date. we could extend the case for a brief period of time if we are still waiting on that. And if he is the father, to give somebody a chance to get ready.
Okay.
But, I'd really rather know,
Yeah,
beforehand, before we appoint.
okay.
Yeah.
So, let's see if we can't get back on it pretty quickly and see what happens. And at the child's age, placement is adoption motivated, correct?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So, I wouldn't have any particular heartburn if we had to extend the case a month or two just to get that pinned down one way or the other.
Okay.
Mom hasn't named anybody else, has she?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's just stay the course and see what happens. Okay. All right, then, Mr. Michelson, anything to report today?
Nothing. I haven't had contact recently with her, so nothing to report. I'd ask if I could get the information that Nutri used to contact her outside of court. So
Yes, he has 3 different numbers. I will get with you, Mr. Mickelson.
thank you.
Yeah, Nerdy, if you'll just email those over to
Yes.
him. Judge, real quick, can I ask Ms. Ingrani something real quick?
Absolutely.
Ms. Ingrani, I know you haven't been able to find mom and are kind of sporadic on your contact with her, but are you asking, has mom drug screened for you in a while?
Miss Sharon? The grandma?
No,
Oh,
Jessica.
Oh,
Has
okay,
Jessica-
yeah. Jessica, I every month I request the drug screen, but she never responded to that,
Okay.
and she did not drug screen.
Okay, are you asking today for a hair follicle and a UA on mom?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, we'd ask to have those, if, by today, but at least once we can find her and get her to respond to them, that we get drug screens ordered on.
All right, Mrs. Baldwin?
Judge, I could not ask for a better placement for Xander. He's doing great, and I have no concerns about that placement, and I do recommend that continue.
All right, then, I'll order mom to drug test hair and UA upon locating her and making that request. I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I will continue, placement. Find a continuing danger to return the child home. Find that neither mom nor the alleged father, Mr. Austin, are in compliance at this time. And our next hearing is the final, as we discussed, that's October 29th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. So let's just see where we are with the genetic testing, and we'll make a decision what to do then.
Yes, ma'am. And Nerdy, if you can't find that email from Kim, let us know as soon as you can, right after this hearing, let her know if you didn't get that so we can get that information back to you, because she said she
Yes.
sent it to you last week.
I just received it from her just
Okay.
now, popping in my email, so I will check after this,
Okay, thank you.
sir.
All right. Thank you all very much. Appreciate everybody.
Thank you, Judge.
Y'all have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
So Staci, did you manage Danish?
Did what?
Did you manage Danish?
No,
English?
no. We did English the whole time. Although I can tell you, tusen takk in Norwegian is, thank you very much.
Danish has a weird there's a lot of dialects. My grandparents are from Ribe, which is the oldest city in Denmark, but it's kind of a combination between Scandinavian and German. There's a lot of different German words.
Tell you what, I had a hard time wanting to come back from that trip.
The pictures were beautiful.
It was pretty amazing.
Okay, Mr. Hill was logged in earlier and then he dropped out and now he's not back. I don't know if anybody wants to shoot him a text message. I'm wondering if he was working in between things.
He said he's in the waiting room, Judge. Morning, Jeff.
Morning, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I apologize. The computer kicked me off. I was in earlier and it kicked me off, and so my apologies, everybody.
We're here on a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming and Ms. Galvan's making our record today. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Kyan Williams is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Judge Jeff Hill on behalf of the mother, Kaylin Riley. Judge, I don't see her here. I reached out to her and was unable to make contact with her, so I don't know that she's going to be here. I know she was at the last hearing in April, so she would have known about the date, but besides that, I have no information.
All right.
Jay Michelson on behalf of Alan Riley, the father. Kayan Williams and I shared notes yesterday. I have not had contact with him recently, and I see that he's not present this morning.
Staci Zabala on behalf of Adeline and Austin.
All right, then, Ms. Williams, if you want to give us an update on how everything's going.
So I have not talked to Alan since May. All 3 phone numbers I have for him are disconnected. I sent the cops out to one of his addresses yesterday because there's no way I was getting out the car. So they said that they talked to the residents and Alan sold that property a year ago. And so there's one other address that I've knocked on the door a few times. I've seen cars go in and out, so somebody does live there, but nobody's ever answered the door. So I have no idea where he is at or what he's doing. And then Kaylin, she has texted me twice since the beginning of June. She texted me last night and said that she was going to a mental health facility for an intake, and she couldn't wait one more day or she would have been here today. And then other than that, she's only asked when the court date was, and I told her it was today. I think Ms. Zavala and my supervisor staffed about 3 weeks ago to move her visits back to virtual because she was pretty much refusing to have contact with me and still testing positive for cocaine, and not working her services. And she didn't want to set up virtual visits, so she hasn't seen or talked to her kids in about 3 weeks. So that's where we're at on them. Kids are doing great. They're having a great time in placement. Adeline started kindergarten today, and they're both doing play therapy and speech therapy.
Okay. Did she say where or what facility she was going to?
She did not. I texted her back this morning, just told her to keep me updated. She said it's in Johnstown in Colorado. So I can look and see what's there, but she just said it was a mental health facility.
So but we knew she was in Colorado.
Yeah, she's in Colorado. That's where the kids are placed with grandparents.
Ms. Williams, when's the last time you got drug screenings that they actually went to on either parent?
The last drug screen I had for Alan was the court-ordered one, I think in January. He's never done for me. The last one I had for Kaylin looks like it was on 5/22.
Okay. Are you requesting hair follicle and UAs ordered on both parents today?
Yes, if I can get a hold of them.
That's
Yeah, the
requested.
last UA, sorry, I have for Alan is on 12/21/23.
Okay. Judge, upon finding and locating parents, we would ask to be able to get hair follicle and UAs ordered.
All right. Okay, Mr. Hill.
Judge, I don't have anything to offer.
All right, Ms. Michelson.
Likewise, I don't have anything to offer.
Okay, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, the kids are with grandparents in Colorado. I've been able to Zoom with them and see them. Got to watch them building together, and actually a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old sharing pretty well. I was pretty impressed. But they look great. It looks like grandparents are making sure that all of the health and educational needs are taken care of. I think it was a great idea to start Adeline over in kindergarten. She is very behind speech wise, but everybody's working on it, and I feel good about where they're placed.
Okay. All right, then I will order Ms. Riley and Mr. Riley both to hair and UA drug test upon contacting them. And I would find continuing danger to return the children home to either parent. Find that neither is in compliance with their service plan. And we'll continue the department as temporary managed conservator and continue children's placement with grandparents. That they are maternal grandparents, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, our final is set for October 29th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. Right now, I'm not seeing any reason why we would extend beyond that date, so I think everybody kind of anticipate we'll probably go to trial that day.
Yes, ma'am.
I know right now you all have no contact with your people, but if contact could be made, you know, perhaps you all could do a Zoom mediation. Yeah, I mean, we're not seeing any progress from parents, so I just don't know whether they might be willing to relinquish since the kids are with family. And it's probably time for those discussions if y'all can find them. So, okay. If you do locate them and y'all need a mediator appointed, let me know. I'm not going to go down that road or set you all a deadline date because they're fairly absentee right now. So,
Yes, ma'am.
but if something develops, let me know and we'll get somebody appointed if you need that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank y'all very much, and I'll see you back in October.
Thanks, Judge. Could you just throw me back in the waiting room, Judge? There's one hearing between this one and my next one.
I will gently place you back there, Mr. Hill.
Thank you. Appreciate
No
it.
throwing. I'm not going to throw you. I want to throw some people in the waiting room sometimes, but you don't happen to be one of them. At least not today.
Thank you, and I hope it's not me.
No.
I think those initials would be DT.
Probably so. Probably so.
No. Not true. We are here today on a review hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom and we are live streaming. Ms. Galvan's making our record. Go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jennifer Campos is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of respondent mom, Alyssa Cradaville. I have not been able to contact my client. All of the phone numbers I have are not in service, but I am present and ready.
Staci Zavala on behalf of Leland.
And Judge, as I announced earlier, I did receive a signature from Cody Pirtle for Dad's attorney.
Yeah. All right, then let's go ahead and get an update. Ms. Campos.
Leland is doing amazing. He's growing. He's healthy. He's doing all the things. He's very happy baby, very bonded with his foster family. He still is getting visits with his great grandma and great uncle. Those seem to be going well. Other than that, Leland's doing amazing. He's where he needs to be. And that's it on Leland. I have been in contact with Alyssa and Joseph. I met with them last month at the Wagon Wheel Motel. I went over their family planning service. They said that they wanted to start services. Alyssa just recently reached out to me. She keeps changing numbers their text me now numbers. And so it's a hit and miss with her. They're together. They do not have stable housing. They still are, living on the street. And so, but I am supposed to meet with them again on Friday to kind of go over, what we need to do. I know we're already late in the game. And so I did receive a letter. Well, I didn't receive a letter, but a letter was written to the foster family from the great grandmother and great uncle stating that they think that he should stay where he's at. So that's really all I have on the update on them.
Have they been drug screened recently?
No, they have not been drug screened.
So do you have good contact information for them right now?
The number that I have is just the text me now number that Alyssa texted me on. I did text her and informed her about court and stuff, and there was no reply. So that's the only number I have to get a hold of them.
It's probably a Wi-Fi number.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
When did you receive that last text from her?
Hold on, I can tell you. Yesterday morning at 11 a.m.
Okay.
And I text her right back.
Have you let them know in your conversations when you do talk to them, have you let them know to get in touch with their attorneys?
Yes, I did. Because they were asking me legal questions, and I told them that I cannot answer those. I'm not an attorney, that they needed to contact their attorney.
Okay. And you made sure they have their attorney's contact?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Campos, sorry to cut you off, Daniel, but could you send me that newest text now number?
Yeah.
Via email is fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're fine, Bailey. I was supposed to say the same thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of the elephant in the room, but I mean, we're running out of time. I would love it if Ms. Campos, if you're able to make contact with them again and or maybe transport them to the office, maybe where their attorneys could meet with them and maybe even discuss a possible relinquishment, because it's getting very late in the game. And as of sitting here right now today, I don't have any basis or any extraordinary circumstances under which to extend the case. So, so everybody knows I'm always in favor of a voluntary relinquishment if they choose to do that. So Ms. Sapien, I don't know if you have any luck getting in touch with her.
Jennifer, what time are you supposed to meet with them tomorrow?
I'm supposed to meet with them at 3:30.
Okay.
I am meeting them at Cattleman's on the boulevard. They wanted to meet me at Pizza Hut. But I was like, can we go somewhere where there's air conditioner? So she said Cattleman's, and that was the end of the conversation. So I just was like, okay, I'll meet you there. And we'll just go from there.
Okay, and maybe I'm going to be in Hill County tomorrow afternoon, but I can rush back. So either I can talk to her on the phone when you're with her, or if I'm back, I can try to find you guys.
Okay, that's fine.
Just let me know.
Okay, I'll send you, I don't know if you have my number, but I'll send you my number and that text me now number. So that way you can get in contact with me if you can't get in contact with her.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Mr. Trout, I just sent you a quick chat. Just a thought on this, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at least like to give them the opportunity if that's kind of where we're headed. So, okay. All right, then, Ms. Sapien, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Judge, we'd make our normal request today of drug screens once we can find them, if we can get them there.
Yeah.
So, if that's the case, if you order it, I can take them tomorrow. I know they have to be there before 4. I have to go to Dallam County tomorrow, and see a parent. But if I can make it back in time before 3:30, at 3:30, I could take them to go drug screen. If
I'll order it, and Ms. Compass, I'll let you kind of determine when it's going to happen based on your schedule. So, I would just say we'll order them to go here in UA when you can locate and transport them. That's about the best I know to do,
yes, ma'am.
because I know you've got other things to do. I'm sorry then, Ms. Sapien, anything else?
No, Judge.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, I agree with Ms. Campos. Leland's doing great. Kelly's been able to visit with him in person, and we also received the information that the great-grandmother and uncle were kind of withdrawing themselves from consideration for a home study because they feel like he's doing so well there. And I am glad they are continuing to get that visitation, and I see no problem with that continuing at all. So I would recommend that Leland stay right where he is, and he's doing great.
All right, and if I may be wrong, but I think I read that placement is also very open to maintaining that contact moving forward.
Yes.
If
I
this
see
goes
no-
into an adoption, correct?
Yeah, I see no problem with that continuing in the future.
Okay. Okay, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the child's current placement. Find continuing danger to return the child home at this time. Neither parent is in compliance with their service plans. Obviously, the department, St. Francis, will continue to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. Order the drug testing, as I said earlier, when parents are located and can be transported. That'll be here in UA. Because just because you got communication with them yesterday or today doesn't mean necessarily you'll have it tomorrow. So, and then we'll be back for our final on October 24th of 2024 on a 9 a.m. docket. Ms. Campus, appreciate all your efforts. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm on the next case as well, so
Okay,
I'm just gonna stay put.
sounds good.
May I be
Oh, and
excused, Judge?
Mr. Pirtle he was logged in. I didn't see him come in. Let me get him in. We're here for our initial permanency hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Galvan's making our record this morning. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jennifer Campos is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Staci Grant for the mother. My client's present. We're ready, Your Honor.
Jeff Hill on behalf of the father, Salah Omar. He is present, judge, under the video, Ayan Abukar. Looks like mother and father are together.
Staci Zavala for Aaliyah.
Okay, thank y'all. All right, Ms. Campos, if you want to give us an update, that'd be great.
Aaliyah's doing amazing. She's growing. I went and saw her yesterday. She's gaining weight for sure. She was really heavy when I picked her up yesterday. I was really surprised, happy at the same time. She's doing really well. They still are working on her feeds. Sometimes she'll take all the bottle. The doctor wants her to be at 90 cc's. Sometimes she'll do 85. Sometimes she'll do 55. It just kind of depends on the day. She did recently have COVID, but she's doing better. She got over that. And so she's doing really well. I'm happy to see her progress. She was in a car wreck, but she's okay. Foster mom was hurt, but she's okay. Which is I'm thankful about. She didn't have a scratch on her. She just had a mark from her car seat. But other than that, she's doing amazing.
Okay. Is foster mom able to continue her responsibilities?
Yeah, yes, they have all the support and all the help that they need.
Okay. All right. Hope she's okay. All right. And then an update on parents.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's
So Ayan, she did complete her psychological. She's done one parenting class. But those are the only services that she started. Mr. Omar just recently got out of Potter County. I have not met with him yet this month. I'm planning on doing that within the next week and get him started on his services as well.
all right. And I'll have some questions for Mr. Hill about that. Do we still have any no contact orders or anything?
I do have a no contact or no visitation contact in place until they complete services. Oh, are you talking about with parents?
Yeah. Is there a no contact order between parents?
Nope.
I haven't looked at it again, Judge, in a while since I wasn't sure exactly when he was getting out. I know it was, I think, supposed to be last week or so, but I haven't looked back at it. If he completed a sentence, I wouldn't think that he has one anymore, but let me look.
Okay.
That was my question. Was is he done time served, or is he just on bond, or where are we with all that?
He has done time served.
Yeah, okay. I think it was time served, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Compass?
No, ma'am.
All right, then, Ms. Grant.
Your Honor, I have not been able to get in touch with Ms. Aguilar, so I would ask her on the record if she has any questions that are not currently being addressed by the caseworker.
No, I don't have any questions, Ms. Grant.
Okay, so we just need to continue working services, Your Honor. I usually hear from clients when they're having issues, and I have not heard from her of any issues. So if she has no questions today, then I would just say that she needs to keep in touch with my office if she needs me, but we will be continuing to work services.
I usually contact my caseworker if I have any questions, but I would also contact you if I have any questions as well.
Okay, I would appreciate that. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, Mr. Hill.
Judge, Mr. Omar obviously is out of jail just for about a week now. He is looking forward to meeting with Ms. Campos. He wants to know what he needs to do. He wants to get this process going. He definitely wants to get his child back. When I spoke to him just before the hearing today, he was very emphatic that he wants to get his child back. So I think he's pretty motivated to get something done.
Looking at job now.
I'm sorry, sir.
I'm looking at job to get back peace. Without no job, there's no life. I lost baby, job, house. Now I need to get my feedback first, and then baby too. I'm trying my best.
Okay, well, Ms. Campos will make sure you understand exactly what you need to do.
Okay.
To make that happen.
Okay.
Okay. Is the Department or St. Francis asking for anything today?
Mr. Campos, have you asked? I know the report said mom hasn't drug screened. Have you asked for any drug screens yet, or have you not asked for anything on that?
I've not asked for any drug screens, but if we could get a UA ordered.
You want UA on both parents?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, we'd ask for UA on both parents today.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ms. Campos, you want that by 4 o'clock today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, parents, do you all know where to go to do that drug test?
Is
the
it
same place where we've been before?
Is it the same place?
It should be out at Cara Express.
at Care Express.
but we have issue for ride issue. Last
Okay,
time we have a car, but this time our car is no insurance, no registration, no tire. We broke.
okay.
I don't know if they can get us a ride to get there.
All right, Ms. Campos, I'll let you address that.
Yes, it will be this afternoon. I bet I can come and pick y'all up and get y'all there.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Campos, I appreciate it. If something happens and you can't make that happen today, just stay in contact with parents and then maybe the next day or whatever. But
Yes, ma'am. If I can't do it, I will ask our parent support worker if she could take them.
okay,
Or somebody. We'll find somebody.
all right, I appreciate it. Okay, Ms. Zavala.
And Your Honor, I got to see Aaliyah in person after the car accident. She is good. She looks great. The feedings are really going well. Weight gain is good. I've got no concerns for her there in that placement and recommend that continue.
All right, thank you. Okay, so as I said earlier, we'll order parents to do UA by 4 o'clock today. St. Francis will transport them. Find a continuing danger to send the child home today. And I'll find it that I'm going to go ahead and find that parents are in compliance today. Mom has started some things. I also know she had some illness at the time of our last hearing. And dad has been in jail, so he's really not been capable. So at this point, I'm going to find that they're in compliance. They're obviously in contact with their caseworker. They're present in court today, so they are obviously, trying to pay attention to what needs to happen. I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and we'll continue the child's current placement. And then I'll see everybody back for our next review hearing on December 10th of 2024. And that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. Okay. Thank y'all so much. And parents, good luck.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Y'all get busy on all this stuff and start getting it done.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Judge, just for the court's information, I looked it up and it was a time served. He finished on 8/7 of 24.
Okay.
Criminal case.
All right. Very good. Okay. Y'all are free to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're here today on a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming and Ms. Galvan's making our record. Okay. We'll take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jaleesa Bird is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Joel Jackson, on behalf of the mother, Naja Grimsley, we're present and ready, Your Honor.
Jeff, on behalf of Father Justin Grimsley, Judge, he's not here. He's in TDCJ. I'm ready.
Staci Zavala on behalf of Gabby.
Okay. Ms. Bird, you want to give us an update? That'd be great.
Yes. So Gabrielle has been home since June 11th, I believe. She's doing well since being home. I've gone weekly to see her and Nija. She's enrolled in her previous school. We have been able to get her set up with individual counseling with Lynn Jennings, which will eventually move into family counseling. Gabrielle, we went to meet her teacher, so she's ready for the school year and started school today. Overall, she's doing well. We do plan to get her set up with a few more services, like a mentorship, and just kind of continue supporting the family in this time. And just she's doing really well. And so is Nija Grimsley.
Okay, great. Always happy to hear when we've got kids back at home. All right. Mr. Jackson?
Thank you. Ms. Bird, you testified that Gabby had been returned home to her mother on June the 11th. Wasn't it July the 11th?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking it was June. Let me double check.
I think the report said July, because I caught that too, Mr. Jackson, but maybe it was in June. Maybe the report's just incorrect.
I think that was my mess up. It was July. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. And otherwise, Naja's been working with you and reporting things as they come along. I mean, she's been pretty open with you about the child's behaviors and whatnot since she's been returned home.
Yes, I really do believe Nisha's done really well with Gabrielle being home. We probably talk weekly, well, almost daily. So it goes well, and just the check-ins and everything's going really well. Gabrielle seems really happy to be home.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Okay, Mr. Hill.
No questions.
All right, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, I was able to visit Gabby in the home. It's been a few weeks ago now. She was happy to be there. Home seemed very appropriate. I was glad she was there. I'm real excited to see how school goes for her. So it's about time for me to come back out and visit again, but I'm just really glad to see her being home.
Okay, sounds good. All right, then. Let's see. I know we extended, so are all agreed to that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I do find that there were extraordinary circumstances which warranted granting an extension in the case. We've just now gotten the child back at home. So we'll continue to work with mom and child and make sure that that transitions successfully and smoothly. So, Mr. Trout, do we have a new dismissal date?
Yes, ma'am. February 21st of 2025.
Okay. All right, so we'll set that as our new dismissal date, and then our first review hearing will be on December 3rd of 2024, and that's a 9 o'clock docket. And then our final hearing date, if needed, will be on February 18th of 2025. Remind me, and I'm thinking the answer is yes because of the cause number. There were prior orders in this case, correct?
Correct, John.
Yeah, so this could end up just being a dismissal and just revert back to the prior orders. Possibly.
Possibly, Judge. We'll staff and talk about that once we get closer to that point.
Okay. All right, so find that mom is in compliance and that we'll continue the department as temporary manager conservator, continue placement in mom's home. And I'll see everybody back for those future hearing dates. Ms. Grimsley, thank you for all your cooperation, and I'm so glad she's home, and I just hope this goes really, really great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, appreciate everybody.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Chat, any idea about this afternoon?
Gonna be a hearing. Yes, ma'am. I think we're.
So I should not try to get the garage door repair people out to my house. Is that what you're telling me?
I probably wouldn't.
Probably wouldn't.
I would not.
Okay.
I just know the case been going a long time. We got a lot of testimony. I know we've done one of our witnesses. We just have our other main witness to get through and some cross and stuff. So it could take a while.
We are here today to resume our final in this case, which commenced back on May 21st of 2024. At that time, we recessed. We took some testimony and we recessed to give parents the opportunity to attend a mediation. My understanding is that they did not appear for mediation. So we are here to resume our final today. All right, we are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming and Ms. Galvan is making our record. So we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Brooks Barfield for Staci Thomas, who's present and ready.
Lauren Lucero for Ernesto Gonzalez, Your Honor. I'm present. He is not present.
Staci Zavala on behalf of the children.
Okay. All right, Mr. Trout, my notes reflect we had, I think, completed Sergeant Lee, his testimony.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and who's your next witness?
Rodolfo Flores, Your Honor.
All right, then, Mr. Flores, if you will, please raise your right hand.
And how are you familiar with that case?
I was the investigator assigned to the case when we received the initial report.
Okay. So when the initial intake came in, it was assigned to you?
Correct.
What was the reasoning for the intake being called in?
The department received the report due to domestic violence in the home when the children were present between Miss Staci and Ernesto.
Okay. When you received that report, what's your initial steps to begin that investigation?
I locate the family and initiate contact to speak with the family as a group.
Okay. And were you able to meet with the family on this case?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Do you know approximately when that was? Or what date that was?
It was on June 24th, 2022.
Okay. And how did your conversations go? Were you able to meet with both parents or just one?
I was. When I arrived, only Staci Thomas was present, and the children. So I spoke with Staci and talked to her about the incident. Then I spoke with Ernesto, who had arrived later, and then also spoke with one verbal child that was in the home at the time.
Okay. As to parents, did you discuss the allegations of why you were there?
I did.
And what was that conversation like?
Both of them admitted that there was an altercation that had taken place between the two of them. Their stories differed a little bit, but ultimately they both agreed that there was a physical altercation.
Okay. How did your investigation progress after that initial meeting?
The department determined that to offer the family-based safety services,
Okay.
the family agreed to that.
Okay. And when did y'all meet and discuss that?
I discussed it with the family, I believe, on September 22nd is when we had actually conducted the FBSS assessment.
Okay. And you had that meeting with a representative from the department that handles FBSS cases?
Correct.
Okay. During that conversation, was it with just mom or both parents at the time?
At that time, it was just mom.
Okay. During that conversation, did mom state she'd be willing to work FBSS?
She did.
Okay. After that investigation and deciding to go the FBSS route, did that end your involvement in the case?
Yes, it did.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Barfield.
Sir, who would have been based on your understanding of the circumstances in your investigation, in regards to domestic violence, was Staci Thomas the believed victim of domestic violence?
So as a result of my conversation with both parents, they both presented each other to be they both presented themselves to be the victim. Law enforcement ultimately did not arrest either of them at the end of that incident.
Okay, you anticipated my next question. Thank you. Okay, so as a result of that incident, there were no formal charges brought by law enforcement against either parent.
I don't remember if charges were brought. I just know that evening there was no arrest. I do know that it was presented to the detective, and I'm not sure if the detective submitted
okay. So you're not sure what happened afterwards?
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. I have no other questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Lucero.
I have no questions for Mr. Flores, Your Honor. I'll pass the witness.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala.
Mr. Flores, you mentioned that the family base started September 22nd. Is that September 22nd of 22?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Okay, Mr. Trout, anything further with this witness?
One quick question, Your Honor. Mr. Flores, during the initial part of the investigation when you met with both parents and back in, I believe it was June of 2022, did you discuss any past or ongoing drug use at the time?
I did, yes.
Okay. And did parents admit or deny drug use at the time?
At the time, they denied that they were currently using any drugs.
Okay. Did they discuss any past drug use or possible exposure to the children? Did y'all have that conversation?
I did discuss that. I believe Staci had mentioned that she had used drugs in the past. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
All right. Anybody else have any further questions for Mr. Flores?
Just a couple, Your Honor, if you may. Sir, do you recall from your report how far in the past Staci may have related to you that she had used drugs in the past? I mean, do you recall when that may have been?
Let me look at my notes very quickly.
Sure, take your time.
Regarding her drug use, she only indicated that she had last consumed alcohol on her birthday, which would have been June 9th of 2022, and that all she reported was that she used to smoke marijuana. She denied that she smoked any marijuana any longer or any other drug use.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Anybody else have any further questions for Mr. Flores?
No further questions this time.
No, Your Honor.
All right, then is Mr. Flores free to leave at this time?
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, Mr. Flores, thank you very much, sir. You're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Rudy.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chach, you can call your next witness.
Call Kelsey Moore, Your Honor.
I'm a supervisor with Child Protective Services.
Okay. During cases, does the department keep regular records in its cases?
Yes.
And are those records kept in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
Are the entries in those records made at or about the time the event occurs?
I'm sorry, I don't know if my internet's bad, but can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Ms. Moore, you might try turning your video off.
Okay.
And just see if that helps.
Okay, thank you.
Can you hear me better now, Ms. Moore?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Are the entries in those records made at or around the time the events occurred?
Yes, they are.
And are the entries made by a person with personal knowledge?
Yes.
Do you have access to those records?
I do.
Are you a custodian of records?
Yes.
Have you had the opportunity to review the records in this case?
I have.
Are the removal affidavit and investigative reports, are they made a part of those records?
Yes, they are.
And are those filed with the court?
Yes, they are.
Have you had opportunity to review those records?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you're here today, the FBSS worker no longer works for the department, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you're a supervisor that worked on this case?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. According to the reports, mom agreed to work but from Mr. Flores' testimony just saying mom agreed to work FBSS case, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Once the FBSS case starts, what is y'all's first procedure? How do y'all go about starting that case?
So when the worker went out, she completed what we call a family strengths and need assessment with the family to find out what the family, what would benefit the family and help address our concerns. So the worker did complete that with the family, and then we develop a family plan of service that we provide to the family of services we're asking them to complete in order to mitigate our concerns in a case.
Okay. And are those plans of service during FBSS, are those are gone over with the parents?
Yes, they're gone over with the parents and they are asked to sign the family plan of service.
Okay. And then kind of like in a removal case, are services set up, paid for by the department for parents to work?
Yes.
Was that done in this case?
Yes, it was.
Okay. During the case, did parents engage in their services?
I know Staci completed a few requested drug tests, but she didn't complete any of her services.
Okay. What during the FBSS part, what type of services was she asked to work?
So she was asked to do individual counseling, daily recovery services to address her substance abuse, domestic violence support group, attend AA/NA meetings, and then do random drug testing.
Okay. Did the Did she ever get into AA meetings, to your knowledge, from the reports?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Do you know that she ever do individual counseling?
She did not.
Okay. You said that she had done a few of the random drug screens. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And were the drug screens concerning?
Yes, they were.
On multiple occasions, Mom was asked if she had contacted service providers. How many of those service providers did she ever contact during the case?
So, I know she was in contact with the lowest hinders for counseling, but she was terminated for too many no-shows. Also, I believe that was the case with daily recovery. She wasn't showing up for those sessions as well.
Okay. What about Ernesto? Did he work any services through the case?
No, he did not.
Okay. Did he submit to any of the random drug screens?
Yes, he did at least submit to one or two of the random drug testing. Yes.
Okay. Were his testings, was there any concern in his testing?
Yes, there was concern with his results.
Okay. When drug screens came back with concerns, did y'all address that with parents?
Yes.
Okay. And when you addressed it with Mom, what was her response to that?
So I know when we talked to her about one that happened in January 2023, she said that she had messed up, that she had run into Ernesto and was spending time with Ernesto.
Okay. Did Mom state, she stated she had messed up. How did y'all take that?
That she was admitting that she had relapsed.
Okay. Did Mom state what she had relapsed on?
On that date, she did not. We told her what the results were, and that's when she said, well, I messed up. I ran into, and I've been spending time with Ernesto.
Okay. Did y'all discuss concerns with Ernesto about this?
So during this case, we really weren't able to have a lot of contact with Ernesto. He would schedule to meet with us and then not show up. So on that one, I don't see that we were ever able to get in contact with him to go over his last drug test results.
Okay. With those concerning drug screens, what were y'all's next steps with the parents?
We talked to Staci about going into inpatient rehab, and she refused to do that. And she wasn't engaging. So then we filed for an order to participate through the court.
Okay. And did you have a hearing on that?
Yes. On February 21st of 2023, we had a hearing for the order to participate.
Okay. And what came out of that hearing?
So the order was ordered, and they were ordered to drug screen by the next day. And they both did go and drug test on February 22nd.
Okay. And what were the results on that?
They were both positive.
Okay. Positive for what?
Ernesto was positive for methamphetamine, amphetamine, and marijuana. And as was Staci, she was positive for marijuana, metabolite, and methamphetamine.
Okay. Was that discussed with the parents?
Yes.
And what was the outcome after that? After those drug screens came back positive, where did the case go from there?
So we did talk to Staci about the positive drug test, and she admitted that she had, the day we met with her, she said she had used yesterday. And then after that, we still continued to try to engage the family in services, but ultimately had to resort to filing an order to remove the children.
Okay. And so that test was at the end of February.
Yes.
You attempted to work with the family until when? When did you finally ask for removal?
It was on May 10th.
Okay.
Of
So
2023.
Okay, of 2023?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So from the end of February, when they drug screened, until first part of May, the department continued to try to work with the family, correct, to prevent the removal?
Yes, that's correct.
And was there still during that time a lack of participation in services by both parents?
Yes, they stopped drug testing for us. They weren't engaging in any of the sessions. They weren't doing any of the services that we were asking them to do at that point.
Okay. And due to the lack of following court orders and working services, and still having concerns with the drug use and positive use, or not screening at all, the department decided that it was in the best interest of the children to ask for a removal.
Yes, sir.
And that removal was granted, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
After the removal, were you able to meet with parents?
Yes.
Okay. And you were involved after the removal, you were involved personally with your worker during those meetings, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And when you have those in-person meetings with the parents after removal, what are those meetings about?
So we met with Staci and Ernesto to explain that, we had filed an affidavit for removal and it was signed and we were granted the removal. And then we just explained how the case would progress from that point on, and explained to them why we were intervening the way we were and things like that.
Okay. Did parents understand what was going on?
Yes, they did.
Did they have any questions at that time for you?
No, they listened to, it was an amicable conversation. We provided them all the forms and just explained kind of what they needed to do moving forward to get the kiddos back into their care.
Okay. Where were the children placed, or where were they at this time?
At that time, they were with maternal grandmother.
Okay. And so had they been there since the FBSS case?
Yes.
Okay. And so the kids were with family and stayed with family, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And y'all explained that's how services and stuff would kind of still work the same way?
Yes, we went over that and how the case would transition over to St. Francis.
Okay. And did the department, due to what all we've talked about, you do believe that was in the best interest of the children to remove and to have the parents work services?
Yes, I do.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Barfield?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Moore, when did your involvement you're obviously still involved in the case. Has your involvement with this case gone up to this period, or did your direct involvement terminate at some point?
When we had the adversary hearing and transferred the case to St. Francis, that's when my involvement with the case ended.
Okay, and when would that have been? And if you don't have an exact date, I'm fine with month and year at this point.
It was May of 2023. I believe it was we got the orders on May 10th, but I don't know that that's the day we had the adversary. So May.
Okay. Again, that's fine. I know this case has gone on for a while. So, okay. Have you had any direct involvement or knowledge as to the services worked by Ms. Thomas since May of 2023?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay, all right. Judge, I'll pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Lucero?
Ms. Moore, once the FBSS case closed and it went to after the adversary hearing, have you had any contact with Ernesto Gonzalez?
No, ma'am, I have not.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Law?
Ms. Moore, when the family-based services started, were Staci and the kids living in the home of her mother?
Yes, originally, they were residing in that home. Yes.
And so when we get around to May and there's an official removal, did the kids stay in the same home that they had been living?
Yes, that was correct.
Okay. So the removal meant that Staci now needed to be out of the home on a full-time basis.
Yes, and yes.
But the children were kept in the same place.
Yes, we left the children with maternal grandmother.
Okay. And at the very beginning of the case, there was an older child who was involved. Did he go and live with a dad?
Yes, we were able to contact his father, and the day we received the order, his dad came to the office and picked him up.
Okay. When you spoke with Staci and Ernesto about the removal, was it made clear to them that they were no longer allowed in that home?
Yes.
And was it made clear to placement that they were made clear to grandmother that they were no longer allowed in that home?
Yes, it was.
I pass the witness.
Mr. Trout, anything further of this witness?
Just one quick question, Your Honor. Ms. Moore, I know we talked about when everything started in timelines, but just for the record, initial report in this, as Mr. Flores testified to, came in June of 2022, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And FBSS started in September of 2022.
Yes, that's correct.
Removal was effected in May of 2023.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So by that timeline, the department worked with the family for about 8 months or so, at least, or over 8 months, almost a year, to try to prevent removal before we got to this point. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody have any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, then let me ask, is Ms. Moore free to leave at this time?
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, then, Ms. Moore, thank you for your time today. You're free to go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
All right, then, Mr. Trout, you can call your next witness.
Call Mickey Lane. And how are you familiar with that case?
I have been the permanency specialist assigned to this case since November of 2023.
Okay. And during the cases, does St. Francis keep records in the normal course?
Yes, sir.
And are those records made by somebody who has personal knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Are those made at or about the time or around the time that the events occurred?
The policy is within 24 hours.
Okay. And do you have access to those records?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And are you a custodian of records?
Yes, sir.
Have you reviewed the records prior to you taking over the case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are during that time, are records and reports before you took over, are those filed with the court?
Yes.
And have you reviewed those court
Yes.
records? Okay. How does St. Francis start a case once y'all receive? Once the case comes from investigations and after the adversary, when St. Francis take over, what is y'all's first steps?
Our first steps is to reach out to the family, meet them face to face, meet the children face to face, review the records from investigations, and collect the best way to address and mitigate reasons for removal through services.
Okay. And what do you mean by that, mitigate through services?
We create family plans with the families, services that address the reasons, such in this case, domestic violence and the drug abuse reasons for removal.
Okay. And was that done in this case?
Yes, sir.
And can you receive the exhibits I sent out?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what exhibit number 3 and 4 are?
They're the filed family plans of service for Staci and Ernesto.
Okay. And during this case, there was a service plan built for them. Are those built, you said they're customized to the case?
Yes, sir.
And that was done in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What type of services were parents asked to work?
Parenting, treatment for substance abuse, domestic violence classes, counseling, a psychological. I believe that's everything.
Okay. Are parents in this case, are they asked to drug screen randomly?
Yes, drug screen randomly. Also, steady employment and steady housing, free from illegal drugs and safety concerns.
Okay. And were service plans gone over? Are they gone over with the parents?
Yes.
Okay. Did parents sign service plans?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 3 and number 4. They're the family plans of service. They're certified copies of the family plans of service that were filed with the court.
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, I don't know that I heard Staci, but
I think we spoke over each other. No objection.
okay, petitioners exhibit 3 and 4 will be admitted.
And Ms. Lane, were these service plans, were they made in order of the court?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have what I sent out, exhibit number 2?
Yes.
And can you tell me what that is?
That's the status hearing order notice and the notice of the next hearing.
Okay. Can you tell us what happens at a status hearing?
At the status hearing, we normally come together in front of the judge, present the services that are being required to mitigate those reasons, and then the judge orders them as a court order to be followed through by the parents.
And was that done in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd also ask to admit exhibit number 2 is the status hearing order, certified copy of it where service plans were made in order of the court.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioners exhibit 2 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, throughout this case, right now we'll start with Dad. With Dad, did he work services?
I have no records of that in my case study, nor have I have record of that since I've been involved.
Okay. How much contact do you have with Dad?
I personally have had no contact with the father.
Okay. How often do you try to reach out to Dad?
At least 3 times a month.
Okay. What are your steps in trying to find him or contact him?
We do an accurate search, which was completed on this case.
Okay.
Sometimes we hunt down family members. I had asked Leland, the grandmother, I asked Staci, but she had stopped having contact with him, I believe either March or April of this year. I checked jail rosters. I followed up with last known addresses. I completed an accurate search. I don't remember the date exactly. However, it presented with addresses that I've already had tried and stated he had been at before. I've looked on Facebook and I did not find the exact Ernesto that would match on Facebook. And that's just some of the things I've done.
Okay. And at no time you've been able to find him or talk to him?
Correct.
Okay. Did he ever try to reach out to you? Did you ever get a text message, email, voicemail?
No.
Okay. Did he ever reach out to you for visitations?
No.
To your knowledge, did he have visitations throughout this case? Did he ever see the kids?
No, I do not believe. I think he may have started on it, but he has not engaged at all. Since I've been on the case, he has not contacted, asked to see the children, checked on the children, or anything regarding the children.
Okay. And children were placed with grandparents, correct?
Maternal grandmother.
Okay. And stayed that way up until fairly recently?
Correct.
Okay. Does Dad have any criminal issues or warrants or anything out that you know of?
He was arrested January of this year for controlled substance, and a warrant was issued to my mailbox with his name on it for the controlled substance.
Okay. Did he have any, prior history that had started maybe before this case also?
Yes, sir, I do believe so.
Do you know what those were for? Do you know what
I
it
do
was?
not.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibits number 14, 15, 16, and 17. They're certified copies of criminal record on a case that involves Ernesto Gonzalez. Due to
No objection.
No objection.
All right, then petitioners exhibits 14, 15, 16, and 17 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, do you have those exhibits in front of you?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what exhibit number 14 is?
An indictment for a deadly weapon notice.
Okay. At the very top of that document, on the top right, it says offense. Can you tell me what that says?
Possession of controlled substance.
Okay. I know it's a little confusing when you read them out, but can you read that last part of it too, just so it's in full?
Yes. Possession of controlled substance. I'm so sorry for the way I do this, but it's PG1. And I was taught in school that's the alligator. So the alligator is eating PG1 and it's 1G, less than, I believe, 4 grams. And then DW is on the end of that.
Okay. So just to clarify, possession of controlled substance greater than 1 gram, less than 4 grams with a deadly weapon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Can you tell me what exhibit number 15 is?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
That one. Order of deferred adjudication, because for that possession of controlled substance for the indictment, I believe.
Okay. About midway down, can you tell me the terms of the plea bargain and how long his deferred was?
It was a felony 3rd degree, 5 years deferred adjudication, and 50 CSR hours.
Community service hours?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Exhibit number 17, can you tell me what that is?
Yes. It's a motion to proceed with adjudication of guilt in original charge.
Okay. And I apologize for this. I'm gonna have you back up just a second. On the order for deferred adjudication.
Okay.
Kind of top left, what date is the date of proceeding for the deferred?
November 2nd, 2023.
Okay, thank you. So in November 2023, he pled to this charge for 5 years deferred, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you said exhibit number 17 is a motion to proceed with the adjudication of guilt.
Correct.
And can you tell me what exhibit number 17 is? Or excuse me, exhibit number 16.
16. It's a KPS warrant issued for the body of Ernesto Luis Gonzalez.
Okay. And is that on the same case that we just discussed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So from these documents, is it your understanding from what you know of it that he was indicted, pled to deferred, had a motion to revoke, and now there's a warrant for him?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge if he's, I know you haven't had contact with him, but do you know if he's been picked up on this warrant or not, or is it still an open warrant? Do you know?
From my understanding, at this point, it's still an open warrant. I haven't seen him picked up for it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. During this case also, I don't believe dad was ever adjudicated. Is that correct?
I believe. Yes, sir.
Were paternity registry searches run on the 3 children?
Mr.
Yes,
Travis,
sir.
let me back up. Your question was that he had or had not been adjudicated?
Had not.
Okay. And she said, I believe, and I think, so meaning, Ms. Lane, you do not think he was adjudicated?
I do not believe he was adjudicated.
Okay. All right. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, ma'am. That's fine. Were paternity registry searches run in this case?
Yes.
And did they show that anybody had filed an intent to claim paternity of any of the 3 children?
No.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibits 5, 6, and 7. They are certified copies of the certificate of paternity registry searches run in this case and filed with the court.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection. Your Honor, I would like to point out the copies that I got by email from Daniel, I think number 6 is in there twice, but so I'm not sure. Is number 7 the one for? I'm just trying to be clear which one is for, is number 5, which child, number 6, and number 7, which child?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Okay. So petitioners exhibit 5, 6, and 7 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Lane, those, I think we did testify to it, but those show that there was no intent filed to become a paternity on those, any of the 3, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is the department today asking to terminate the parental rights of Ernesto Gonzalez based upon failure to work services,
Yes.
failure to register with the paternity registry search,
Yes.
and constructive abandonment?
Yes.
To your knowledge, we've been in this case well over 6 months. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know whether Dad can provide shelter and necessities for the children
I do not.
at this time? Do you believe that he is capable of providing a living space for them,
I do not know.
for taking care of them?
I do not know.
Has Dad drug screened for you?
No.
Due to the concerns of drugs in this case, do you have any way of knowing whether Dad is still using or not?
I have no knowledge if he's using or not.
We'll kind of switch gears and talk about Mom now.
Can I say something?
Not until
Not at
you're
this, not at this time.
Okay.
Before I start on that, is what we just asked about Dad terminating parental rights. Do you believe that's in the best interest of the children?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And that is based upon everything we've talked about at this time.
Yes.
Okay. As to Mom, she received copies of her service plans.
Yes.
And signed her service plans. Did Mom work her services?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did she work them in their entirety?
She's still engaged in a few of the things.
Okay. And what do you mean by that?
So on Mom, she completed Synacor inpatient treatment this last month. She drug screened on a hair follicle on the 13th. She engaged in counseling through Synacor. She still needs to get back into Jennings. She's engaged, per her statement, she's engaged in domestic violence, parenting, and she completed her RBT June. It was June of this year.
Okay. St. Francis took over this case in May of 23, correct?
Yes.
When did Mom start working on all of her services?
She engaged in July 24.
What year?
July of 24?
2024, yes.
Okay, all right. And I believe the court announced when we started this hearing the day that we had originally convened on this in May of 2024. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So since before we originally convened on the final, Mom had not worked anything.
Correct.
Okay. Did Mom ever drug screen for you?
Yes.
Okay. When did she drug screen at the beginning? Did you have a lapse in drug screens and she start back? How did that go?
I had no communication with Mom on this case until April of this year, April and May.
Okay. How often had you tried to communicate with Mom?
I attempted to reach out to Mom to get her to meet with me. I texted her. I talked to her mother, who she sporadically spoke to per the grandmother's statements, asking if Staci and Ernesto could contact me. I went to locations of their houses. I ran jail roster checks, and I did not get a response.
Were you finally able to get up with Mom, or did she reach out to you?
She finally reached out to St. Francis.
Okay. And you said that was when?
And the end of April, beginning of May
of
2024.
Okay. Did anything happen around that time in this case?
Yes, the removal of her children from her mother's home occurred at the time she reached out finally.
Okay. And you're speaking of an incident, I believe, that Sergeant Leak testified to in the last hearing, correct?
Correct.
And Sergeant Leak had testified that he was filing charges. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 18. It is a certified copy of a felony complaint filed against mom with the attached warrant worksheet for the case that Sergeant Lee could testify to in the prior setting.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 18 will be admitted.
Thank you. Ms. Lane, during at the beginning of the case, did mom drug screen for St. Francis?
She prior to November of 2023, I do believe she did drug screen for St. Francis a couple of times.
Okay. And then when she showed back up after April, did she drug screen?
And yes, in this case.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 1 and exhibit number 22. They are certified copies of the affidavit of business records for the drug screens that were taken on mom during this case. Can you look at exhibit number 1 for me?
Yes. Oh, that is a drug screen.
Okay. Is that a UA drug screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is that for Staci Thomas?
Yes.
And just plain reading, what does it say?
It's a urinalysis, which is positive for amphetamines, methamphetamines, and marijuana. Okay.
Okay. And what is that?
Also, this one's a positive hair strand.
Okay. And positive what?
Amphetamines and methamphetamine.
Okay. And on were they high levels?
She was positive for 82,678 for methamphetamines and 5,380 on amphetamines.
Okay. Now go to page 11 of 18.
That's a urinalysis, and which is positive for marijuana at a 30 mark.
Okay. And then can you pull up exhibit number 22 for me?
Yes.
And can you tell me what page 2 of 9?
It's a negative urinalysis.
Okay. And that was taken when? When was the specimen collected?
May 2nd of 2024.
Okay. And so this was about the time mom contacted you back, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Page 5 of 9.
Okay.
What is that?
It's a positive hair strand for amphetamines and methamphetamines.
Okay. And are those fairly high levels?
She tested positive for 47,623 on methamphetamines and 2,621 on amphetamines.
Okay. And was that date of that specimen collected the same as the UA?
Yes, May 2nd.
Okay, of 2024.
Mhm.
Okay. Now we've already discussed and we admitted in exhibit number 18,
Mhm.
which is the felony complaint filed against mom. Is that correct?
Correct.
And those are for abandoning and endangering child.
Correct.
Okay, all 3 of them.
Yes.
And did these came out of the incident where children were removed from grandma's house?
Correct.
Were the children drug screened?
Yes.
And were those drug screens concerning?
Yes.
Did you receive what I sent out, exhibit 19, 20, and 21?
Yes.
Are those the drug screens for the children?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibits 19, 20, and 21. They're the business records affidavits of the drug screens that were Ms. Lane just testified to that were taken. Ms. Lane, let's look at exhibit number 19 real quick.
Okay.
Page 2. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
I'm gonna pull these up on the screen and share them. I think I don't know if they got mixed up again.
I think we sent them over confusing too because they all came in at once.
Judge, I'm going to rescan these in and pull them up on screen share, and then I'll send these back out to everybody.
Your Honor, at this point, for clarity of the record, till we get this cleared up, I'm going to object to them being admitted at this time. I also, because the records, because we've admitted, I think, duplicate exhibits and stuff like that, and that might be confusing.
So for clarity of the record, Ms. Galvan, I admitted exhibits 19, 20, and 21. And after we've done that, we realized that 19 and 21 appear to be the same exhibit. So I'm going to allow Mr. Trout to withdraw exhibit. Which one do you want to withdraw? 19?
Judge, let's go ahead. Just go ahead and withdraw all of them, and I'm gonna send them all three. They should be in order I had them in. I don't know how they did that, but
All right, then department's withdrawing exhibits 19, 20, and 21 as previously admitted.
Ms. Lane, what exhibit does this say?
This is 19.
Okay. And the name right here, what name is that? Okay.
And Aaliyah.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 19 is the business records affidavit certified copy that was filed and served all parties in respect to Aaliyah.
Your Honor, I'd like to object to 19 and well 20 and 21 when they come up. The file date on these are 5/30 of 24, and we actually commenced this case on 5/22. So I would think that they were out of time or not filed within the proper time before we started this case on 5/22.
Okay, well, I'll overrule. We commenced the case. We recessed to give your all's clients the opportunity to participate in a mediation. They didn't appear at that. So any number of things could have happened during that recess. But so I'll overrule the objection and allow the exhibit.
Ms. Lane, oh, sorry, Judge. If there's any more objections, I didn't know.
Well, I think she's going to have the same objection as to the others, but we'll
Yes,
do
ma'am.
it. We'll handle it when it comes in.
Okay. So Ms. Lane, this is the drug screens for Aaliyah, correct?
Correct.
And plain reading, what are Aaliyah's levels?
She was positive for benzos, I believe, 1,163. Cocaine metabolites, 151. Sorry, it's hard to read. 15,186.
Okay.
And then methamphetamines.
She had a level of methamphetamines.
Yes.
Your Honor, again, I'll object that the business records affidavits and the records weren't filed the 14 days before we commenced the hearing back on February 22nd. They were filed on February 3rd. I'm sorry, May 22nd. And we commenced. And well, I better start over. I'm objecting to admittance of these records. They weren't filed within the 14 days before we commenced the hearing back on keep saying February, but May 22nd. No objection.
Okay, Mr. Trout, any response to her objection?
I would respond the same way, Your Honor, that these were filed. The case was called and recessed. Attorneys had this before we reconvened today, and that they were presented for evidence. There's been 3 or 4 months for objections to them.
And Your Honor, just to add, if we're cutting off evidence as of the date that the hearing commenced, then all of the services that Mom have worked so far would not be considered in evidence, as they all came after the start of the commencement of the file.
Your Honor, I would just say that there's a specific filing for business records, and that's what my objection is focused on.
I understand, Ms. Lucero. Because we recessed and we have recommenced today, I'm going to still overrule and allow the exhibit. So
At a decent amount.
Okay. And Judge, I'll get those resent back out. Now, does Mom have, outside of the one case that we have already discussed, the new case filed with Mom, does Mom have any other pending criminal cases that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
Was Mom on probation when this case started?
Yes.
Do you know where that case stands?
I do not at this point.
Can you look at exhibit number 8?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what is that?
That's an indictment for possession of controlled substance for Staci Thomas.
And can you, Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 8. It's a certified copy of an indictment against Mom.
No objection.
No objection. No objection.
petitioner's exhibit 8 will be admitted.
And Ms. Lane, up at the top, offense is that possession of controlled substance?
Yes.
Exhibit number 9. Can you tell me what that is?
An order of deferred adjudication.
Okay. And is that on the same case as the indictment?
Yes.
Okay. And was she sentenced to 3 years deferred?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the date of proceeding up at the top right there?
Date proceedings deferred is February 24th of 2020.
Okay. So mom was on probation about 2 years before we started this case, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can you tell me what exhibit number 10 is?
A supplemental order amending conditions of probation.
Okay. Judge, I'd ask to admit the supplemental order is a certified copy, exhibit number 10.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 10 will be admitted.
And can you tell me what exhibit number 11 is?
Yes. Supplemental order amending conditions of probation.
Okay. And can you tell me, excuse me, Judge, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 11 is a certified copy of the supplemental order amending.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, let's see. That was 11. All right, petitioner's exhibit 11 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, looking at that, beside where it says 200, what does that sentence say?
As an alternative to incarceration, the original probation period is extended to 1 year.
Okay. And can you tell me when that was signed by the judge?
January 27th of 2023.
Okay. So she was on probation, but then supplemental order extending for a year was done during our case. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can you tell me what exhibit number 12 is?
A motion to proceed with adjudication of guilt on original charge.
Okay. And is this the same case number as the other cases that we just
Yes.
saw? Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 12 is the certified copy of the motion to proceed.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 12 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, up at the top right, it says filed and submitted. Can you tell me the date that was filed or submitted?
February 2nd of 2024 at 3:27 p.m.
And can you tell me what exhibit number 13 is?
Yes. It's a KPS warrant issued for the body of Staci Renee Thomas.
And when was that filed with the clerks?
February 5th, 2024.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 13. It's a certified copy of the order granting KPS on this.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 13 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, that warrant, so in 2024, after we've been in this case for over a year, now mom has it appears to be 2 warrants out for her, correct?
Correct.
Do both those, this case started involving drugs.
Correct.
Mom's drug screens in May her follicle was positive for drugs.
Correct.
And mom currently has 2 warrants on cases that involve drugs.
Correct.
Now mom has worked, as you said, since July or so, she has worked services.
She has worked some of her services, yes.
And she did go to rehab just recently.
Correct.
Okay. But throughout that case and up until we convened the hearing back in May, mom had not worked any services and was still having drug issues. Is that correct? Okay. Do you believe that mom's behaviors have changed throughout this case?
Can you reword that question? I'm sorry.
Do you believe that mom has mitigated the reasons for the removal?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. And is that based on what we're looking at as far as the evidence that's been submitted?
Correct.
Okay. She didn't start working any services till a year in.
Correct.
Still having drug issues.
Correct.
We have complaints of felony complaint filed and a warrant for her children testing positive for drugs.
Correct.
And the children that were involved in this case.
Correct.
Are you asking the court today to terminate the parental rights of Staci Thomas as to all 3 children?
Yes.
And based upon really failure to work services and to mitigate the reasons for removal?
Yes.
And for endangering the children?
Yes.
And do you believe that is in the best interest of these children?
Yes, sir, I do.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Barfield.
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, when you were first asked the question by the department in regards to whether Staci has changed her behavior, you hesitated a little bit. Is that because Staci recently has been taking actions to mitigate removal?
Yes.
And please, I think the easiest way to do it, just describe the actions, in your opinion, that she has taken recently to mitigate the reasons of removal.
Her, she had started to be, since July, June and July, she has been in communication with me.
Okay.
She still struggles with, she's just freshly starting to engage in becoming clean in her services.
Okay. Okay. So do you know exactly what services she has completed? And I don't know if it's been asked before, but if you know that what services has she completed?
She has completed inpatient rehabilitation. She completed her RBT. I do have both completed services for that.
Okay. Has she complete? Now she was working on her parenting. Is that correct?
Correct.
And she was also working on getting back into counseling. Is that to your understanding?
Correct.
And also, had she been communicating with you better?
Yes.
Okay. Has she signed up for domestic violence classes or?
She has stated she has.
Okay. Now, at any time during this case, was she employed?
Yes.
And do you know where she worked?
Oh gosh, I can't remember. It was the hotel, and I did meet with her at her place of employment.
Okay. Now, in regards to, in regards to her cooperation, that has improved.
Yes.
Okay. Now, in regards to the, I'm going to call the criminal legal documents that were admitted into evidence, the certified documents. Obviously, Staci's on this hearing here. Do you know the results of any motions to revoke or any new charges? Have they come to fruition yet? Has there been any convictions or anything like that you're aware of?
No, they just currently have warrants for her arrest.
So those are pending allegations without convictions at this particular point. Is that correct?
Yes.
When is now we admitted there were some drug tests that they've been admitted of the kids, if I'm not mistaken. Whose custody were the kids in when those drug tests came up positive?
Placement wise?
Well, let's do it this way. Was the department the temporary managing conservator of the children when those positive drug tests came about?
Yes.
Where were the children placed?
Maternal grandmother's home.
Okay. Where was Staci living, if you know, at the time?
I did not have contact with Staci at that time.
Okay. Was she living with her mom?
When I visited and did face-to-faces, she was not present.
Okay. All right. And it's my understanding, based on all the orders and everything in this case, Staci was not supposed to be living where the children were placed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Now, do you feel that your recommendation for termination is because this case has lasted so long and it's taken Staci a long time to kind of get on board with working services?
No, sir.
Okay. Then what do you base your recommendation for termination on then?
My recommendation for termination is mom's lack of compliance for the case all the way up to July. Her disregard for boundaries and rules put in place to protect the children while they were placed with her mother, leading them to test positive for the drugs she had been using. And for she hasn't provided stability and showed stability.
Okay. I want you to finish here. Well, let's go back and revisit her responsibility for the children testing positive in her mom's. I thought it was your testimony. You didn't know if she was around the children when she was in her mom's.
Yes, sir. I was not aware, but she had testified to, she had stated she had been there.
Okay.
And that's how we know.
Okay. So okay. All right. Now, where are the children currently placed?
We've got them in a legal risk home.
Okay. Now, I understand at some point, at least my note, this case has gone on a while, and my notes reflect at some point there were some home studies that were looked at for other family members. Do you recall that?
Yes, there's a pending one right now on her father.
Okay.
And there was one that was denied for her sister.
Do we know why? Let's deal with the one with her sister. Do we know why the home study was denied for her sister?
Yes, I can give a brief summary. I know
Sure.
it was,
Yeah, please.
her sister has a unstable relationship, has had past unstable relationships with her current person. She hasn't been able to show stability, and she did not have enough room for all of the children. Her own children, she had mentioned, stress her out, and she has 3. Putting another 3 children on top of that we want long-term stability for these kids.
I understand, but is it the department's recommendation or hope, whichever word / hope, that whatever the result of this case, that we'll still be able to ultimately place these kids with family?
That's why we have another pending home study on another relative.
Okay, thank you for now. I'll pass the witness.
All right. Ms. Lucero.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, and I know you answered this earlier, but I didn't write it down. When did you take over this case?
November of 2023.
2023. Okay. And so from November through today, you yourself have not had any kind of personal contact with Ernesto Gonzalez. Is that right?
Correct. I have not.
Okay. Have you been able to possibly talk with any of his family members or anything like that?
I did try to reach out to individuals. I did not find his location from anyone.
And during the course of this case, did he begin any of his services?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And according to your records, when was the last time that he visited with his children or with the children?
Honestly, I know he has not had any interactions or seen the children at least since August of 2023.
And you stated that the kids are currently in a legal risk home. What could you explain what that is to me, please?
It's a foster home where children are at risk of needing long-term permanency.
Okay. Now, when the home study was denied on sister, did you or someone with St. Francis discuss with the sister if there was, maybe to alleviate any of the concerns y'all had before it was denied?
She did reach out to me, very upset, and I believe she spoke to my supervisor and was upset, but I don't believe, other than the grandfather, any other names could be provided.
Okay. And I just want to be clear, just to understand here, and I guess in other pending cases I may have, once someone, I guess the home study's done and the concerns and the pros and cons are all listed in a report. If there are concerns, do y'all go back to possible placement and say, hey, look, these are the issues that we're concerned with? Can we try to alleviate any of these, or is it just denied?
It gets read by my supervisor and my program director. Depending on the concerns, there are certain policies and procedures that St. Francis has to follow through regarding the state of Texas. And so ultimately it's decided by them whether we can go back and mitigate some of those reasons, or if the concerns are too deeming for us to move forward.
And have you yourself spoken with paternal grandfather about the expedited home study that's been ordered?
Yes, I have.
And normally expedited, how long do those normally take? I mean, how much is that speeded up when it's expedited?
Okay, so I filed that home study after her father reached back out to me. I filed it last Thursday, and it is set to be completed and sent back to us, according to my email response, by the 20th of this month.
Okay.
That is only when they can get it back to us, not being read and everything.
I understand. Okay. But again, the department or St. Francis always looks to try to place children with family, correct?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, Isabella.
Ms. Lane, the kids in this case are pretty young, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We've got one who was born in 2020 and 2 in 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
According to the exhibits that were filed, Ms. Thomas has been struggling with methamphetamine, at least documented, since 2019, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
During that time, she became involved in the criminal justice system and was asked to work some services through there.
Correct.
Does it look like she was successful in working the services through the criminal justice system?
No, ma'am.
In September of 22, she began working with CPS for a family-based case, correct?
Correct.
And did she work her services then?
She participated in only a couple of services, but no.
And continued to test positive for meth?
Yes, ma'am.
Then the children were officially removed, although they were kept in her mother's home.
Correct.
And she was again asked to work services.
Yes.
And she was given a complete year to work those services.
Yes, ma'am.
And during that year, she continued to test positive?
Yes, ma'am.
And then during that year, she frequented her mother's home when she was not supposed to.
Yes, ma'am.
And the children then tested positive for drugs themselves.
Yes, ma'am.
So Ms. Thomas has struggled with her drug addiction, at least documented, consistently since 2019.
Correct.
At the time that we started this final hearing, she had not completed any services and was still testing positive.
Correct.
So based on Ms. Thomas's cooperation for a month and a half to possibly 2 months over a 5-year period, does that show adequate sobriety and stability for these kids?
No, ma'am.
And did that cooperation only come once Ms. Thomas was facing additional criminal charges?
Yes.
So she knew throughout this process she had the risk of losing her children, but it was not until she might be incarcerated again that she began with some services.
Yes.
I pass witness.
Okay. Anybody have any further questions for Ms. Lane?
I don't think any Ms. Lane at this time.
I have one, Your Honor. Ms. Lane, when were the kids removed from the grandmother's home?
April, I can get you the exact date. On April 19th, 2024.
So was it also around that time, a bit after that time, that the mother started working services?
She started to re-engage June 14th.
I'll pass witness.
Okay. Anybody have any further questions for Ms. Lane?
No, not at this time.
No, at this time. No.
All right. Mr. Trout, any further witnesses, or is the department rest?
Your Honor, is Erica Cantrell in the waiting room?
She is.
Can you bring her in real quick?
I can. I need to find out where we are on some things, because
Okay.
I know some of you are still involved in another final that I have set at 1:30, but in between that, I've got a 1 o'clock.
This one.
And Ms. Galvan needs a break. I need a break, just at least for a little bit. So what do we got left in this case? I'll bring Ms. Cantrell in. So you want to call Ms. Cantrell, and then Mr. Barfield?
All I have is my client, Judge.
Great. You're going to call
And I'd assume the department would probably call her, so.
I'll-
That's usually what happens, but I mean, I'm not saying what they should or shouldn't do, so.
Okay, but if they don't, you intend to call her.
Well, yeah, I think I have to.
All right. Ms. Lucero, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. And Ms. Zavala, do you have any additional witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm involved in the 1:30, so.
Yeah, which is probably going to get pushed to 2 or 2:30.
Yes, ma'am.
It involves most of this, a lot of you, except I don't know who it involves department wise, but Mr. Morales is on that one, so we'll have to reach out to him and let him know we're running late. What I want to do is, I think the best thing to do for everybody concerned is I'm going to take a little bit of a break right now, give Ms. Galvan a break. We'll pull the folks in that are here for the 1 o'clock, tell them we need just a few minutes. I think that is, for the most part, going to just be a prove up announcement type situation. Ms. Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my understanding.
That's also my understanding, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Zavala, is that your take on it?
I believe so, but I'm not quite as positive.
Okay. What I'm going to do is,
while we take this break, if you'll put myself and Ms. Cantrell in a breakout room, it may be able to be that I don't call her and we can move on, but if I can talk to her for just a second while we take a break.
but I'm going to tell all of you guys that we're going to come back to this case
Okay.
At, my hope is close to 1:30 to 1:45.
Okay.
So I'm happy to put you in a breakout room, but I'm going to actually we're gonna recess right now on this case. And then y'all be prepared to log back in maybe around, I think realistically 1:45. But everybody, we're gonna take probably a good 15-minute break here. And like I said, we'll get the 1 o'clock people in that are in the waiting room and let them know that we're going to be just a few minutes, and then I'll see everybody in this case back at say 1:45. Do you want me to put you in the waiting room, or you want to log out and log back in? It'd be a lot easier for me if y'all log out and log back in.
That'll work.
That's fine, Judge.
I'm your soup, so I'm staying.
Okay, well, you're gonna have about 15 to 20-minute break right now for sure. But
perfect.
Okay, so that'd be fine, Ms. Galvan. You can go ahead and go on break. I'm going to get these other folks in and just let them know where we're at.
Can I talk to my lawyer in the breakout room, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Assuming he's still here.
And Judge, you can put Ms.
Okay.
Watson.
Ms. Thomas, he logged off. So
Okay.
you need to just call him.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Now say that again, Ms.
I
Trout.
apologize, Judge. If you just go ahead and put Ms. Watson, Ms. Lane, and Ms. Cantrell in the room.
All right. You, Ms. Lane, Ms. Watson can put yourselves back in one, and I'll add Ms. Cantrell to the mix in room 1.
Thank you, Judge.
Uh-huh.
We've been in this case for a little over 2 years,
Yes, sir.
and you just started working services in the last month and a half.
Yes, sir. In the last, actually, I started way back when, not St. Francis, it says St. Francis. When the other one still had the case, I did Miss Daly's class. I completed Miss Daly's class, and I completed something else, I forgot. And then since then, I've also been going to AA meetings.
Okay.
AA and NA.
So you did some services when it was an FBSS case?
Yes.
Okay. But in once they moved to removal, you didn't do anything until the last month and a half.
I didn't start. How do I phrase this? I can honestly say I didn't take it completely serious until they were removed from my mother's house.
Okay. So far, with the FBSS case involved, so a year and a half, you didn't take it seriously?
Honestly, no, sir. They were still at my mom's, so in my head, it was just like, they're still there. It's fine.
Even though you were
yeah.
admonished of what could happen?
I knew it, but I didn't fully understand, I guess I could say.
Okay.
I didn't realize that they would be completely taken away from me and I would not have any contact with them at all whatsoever.
When they were at your mother's, were you over there?
I would go by, sir, and I would drop off groceries. I would leave them in front of the house on the porch, and I would call my mom and let her know that they were there, because I know my kids like food like I do, and I know they love to eat.
So did you ever visit your kids when they were with your mother?
I would see them through the window, and a couple of times my mom let me come in for a minute, but not for long.
Okay. Were you aware that you weren't supposed to be seeing the kids without St. Francis knowing? Yes, ma'am.
I honestly took it as my mom was supervising it.
So you thought you could skirt around the rules?
I don't want to say it like that. I want to say it like, I don't know how else to phrase it, honestly. I want to say it as I took it as it didn't have to be a worker that supervised it.
Were you told that it had to be approved?
I was told that it was through, what's it called? That as long as that it had to be supervised. I did not realize it had to be approved through them, honestly.
Is that because you had no contact with your worker for quite a while?
Yes.
And why didn't you have contact with your worker?
I didn't have contact with my worker at first because after I want to say Summer ended up leaving them, I did not know who it was. And I guess that they still had my old phone number. So I did not know they were trying to get in contact with me.
Did you know where St. Francis office is?
No, I didn't, honestly.
Do you know how to look it up?
I do. I didn't know.
Did you have the phone number to the main office?
No, sir. I have my caseworker's number.
Did you know?
I ended up getting a hold of them through the email address and phone number that they left my mom when they took my kids.
And your mom didn't have any contact information for him before that?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. In the time that you weren't in contact with the department and weren't cooperating, were you still using?
On and off, yes, sir, I was.
Okay. And again, we've been in this case over 2 years. How long did your kids have to wait for you to take this seriously?
Honestly, longer than I would like to admit. I wasn't.
Where do you live now?
Hang on a minute. Ms. Truck, she muted. Just a minute. Ms. Thomas, you're muted. And
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Yeah, okay, and you're muted, and you were muted, but also, can you get somewhere and sit down and remain still?
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's in the pace when I'm.
Okay, it's really distracting on the video and probably distracting for the court reporter. And it also gets hard to hear you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Lost my train of thought on the question. Where are you living now?
I stay back at my mom's house.
You're back at your mom's house where the kids were removed from.
Yes, sir. Honestly, to help me get on my feet and get everything together. Yes, sir. Because they can help me with getting to where I need to go and everything else. Because they're also working services themselves.
And they're working services for what?
For the drugs in my kid's system after they were removed.
Okay. So you just finished rehab, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
You just finished rehab?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you finished rehab and moved back into the house where your kids tested positive?
Yes, because my mom and my stepfather have been continuously testing negative.
Okay. Were you going to, was it a plan at one point for you to move into a shelter home to help with your
Yes,
sobriety?
sir. I'm waiting for my application to go through at DWC. That is the only reason I'm still at my mother's.
Okay.
I'm waiting for that to be approved for them to have space.
Okay. You ever been around your kids while you're using?
No, sir, I wasn't, but I also didn't change my clothes. From what I've been told, I'm sorry?
Is there somebody in the room with you talking?
Not anymore. It was my mom. She walked out.
And it's still your testimony that you, during this case, you have not been around your children while using?
No, sir.
At all?
No, I know that there were times I just smoked or whatever and came to see them. Or I was allowed to see them for a little bit. I was not smoking around them. I did not smoke around them.
And you just said when you came to see them, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, a while ago, you told me that you left groceries on the front porch and did
I know,
not.
that's why I changed it to when I was allowed to, when my mom would actually let me come in for a second. But as for the cocaine in their system, that has not shown up on any of my screenings.
Okay. But the meth
I'm
does.
not sure where that came from.
But the meth does?
The meth has, yes, sir.
And is meth your drug of choice?
It was, yes.
How often did your mother let you come in for a few minutes?
It wasn't much, honestly. She let me maybe, I don't know. I want to say maybe 4 times.
Did you ever use at your mother's house during this case?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Before I had to leave, I did.
During this case?
The whole 2 years or?
Say in the last year?
No. I wasn't here enough in order to do that. I would smoke before getting to my mother's house. And even a couple times on the way, but no. And since I have started working services officially, I want to say I haven't been. That's why my levels have been decreasing. I know steadily, unfortunately, but they have been decreasing. And even took another hair follicle day before yesterday. And that will still show I want to say a major decrease.
And you would go, you just said you would smoke and then go over to your mother's house or on the way to your mother's house. And that's when you would go see your kids?
Yes. I would bring groceries.
I'll pass witness.
All right, Ms. Barfield. I still see, but he's never that still
Yeah, no, I can't even see him on my screen.
or that quiet.
Yeah.
I can't see him as well. There he is.
There he is back in Technicolor.
Okay. I think I heard you pass. Is that correct?
I did, Mr. Barfield.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Staci, I want to ask you a couple of questions. What are you asking the court to do today?
Honestly, not to remove my rights and let me finish. I know I have my warrant from when I was on probation, but honestly, the only reason that became a warrant was because of payment issues.
Now, it's my understanding that you still have some parenting classes to complete. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I have 6 out of the 10 left because it's only once a week and it is over Zoom as well.
And then you have the domestic violence class. Other than that, have you completed your services?
Everything else I have completed.
Okay.
Everything else is done, except for, I guess, the last counseling session. But I was kind of hoping that all of the counseling I did in center court would kind of count for that one.
Okay. So basically, do you think you testified that when the children were at your mom's, you really didn't take this serious? And was that because they were with your mom?
Yes, sir. I took it as they were with my mom, so everything was still okay.
And during this period of time, just based on your testimony, it appears you were still heavily using methamphetamines. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. On and off. Yes.
Okay. But when they were removed from your mom, that was kind of a wake-up call to you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I stopped everything.
Okay.
That's why
Now-
my screenings, my levels started decreasing a lot more and everything else. I
Now
went to
you-
center core voluntarily.
Right. Now, you were asked how long, something to the effect of, how long should your children have to wait, for you to get your life straightened out? Do you recall a similar question to that?
Yes, sir.
And I believe your response was, well, longer than you would have liked.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, or do you believe that if you were made a possessory conservator, that you, in other words, not the main caretaker of your children, you understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
Because you still have some work to do. Would you agree with me?
Yes, sir. Quite a bit, honestly.
Okay. So if you were made a possessory conservator and upon returning clean drug test, having some sort of department supervised visits, do you feel that you could get clean and
All of the way. I
Okay.
am clean at the moment. I have clean time right now.
Okay. And
I
I understand. So that's what you're asking the court is that you be named a temporary possessory conservator. In other words, other than having your rights terminated.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
To give me time to finish everything. I know I've had time, and I'm sorry I wasn't at first, but
Okay.
so I can actually finish.
Okay. But you believe you're on the right track now.
Yes, sir. I really do.
Okay. Okay. Now, I'm going to pass. I'm going to go ahead and stop asking you questions now, and then you may be asked some other questions. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Pass witness.
Ms. Thomas, why didn't you go to mediation?
I was in center core, ma'am, and I let my caseworker know the day before I went into center core. I had a phone conversation with her that I was going the next day.
So you went the same day of mediation?
No, ma'am. I went the 8th or the 9th is the day I went.
Did your attorney know you were in Centacor?
I emailed him, but it was from an email address that's not that is a new one because I got locked out of my old one. So I tried to, but I forgot to inform him that my email address changed.
Okay. All right. Ms. Lucero, you have any questions?
Just a couple, Your Honor. Ms. Thomas, have you had any contact with Mr. Gonzalez? Well, let me ask you, let me make it more precise. Have you had contact with him in the last couple of months?
No.
Do you have any idea if he's still in the Amarillo area by chance?
I don't.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Mr. Trout, any further questions?
I have a few, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Ms. Zavala. My apologies.
That's okay. Okay. Ms. Thomas?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever made the statement that you would come over to your mom's house, do laundry in the garage and smoke meth there?
Yes, I did, but that was a while back. That was, I want to say more toward the beginning. That was before DC or St. Francis, which I'm sorry, I get, what's it called? Names confused, but before this caseworker got involved.
So you are currently living with your mom?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the plan for where you will live after that?
My own place is my plan. I'm just trying to save up to get my own place. Or going into DWC if they have an opening for me or when they have an opening for me. Because I also know they will help me with all of that as well.
You understand that all three of your children tested positive for multiple drugs?
Yes, ma'am. And I know that one of them hasn't been in my system. It's not one I've touched.
Okay. So who was it that exposed your kids to drugs?
I don't know, ma'am. I don't know. I wasn't around.
Okay.
I could not answer that question for you, and I'm sorry I can't.
So you say it's not that they're not testing positive because of any contact with you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So they were in your mother's home where you're currently living. Is that a place for you to be if you're working on your sobriety?
My mom and my stepfather, since my kids have been removed, because I have a little brother and little sister now, have their own CPS case, and they have been testing negative consistently after my kids got removed from them. I guess it was a wake-up call for them as well.
I pass witness.
All right. Now, Mr. Trout.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Honor. Ms. Thomas, what you just stated to some of Ms. Zavala's questions wasn't entirely true because you said you had smoked in the car and then gone over to visit your kids.
Yes, she asked if about me smoking in the garage.
I know, but she also asked that it was none of their testing positive. Was it from exposure from you? And you said no.
Yes, sir, I did. I'm sorry, but it wasn't from, I don't know how to explain it, me consistently being around, I guess you could say. I know that one of the highest drugs from what you'd shown me, because I hadn't seen those before, was the cocaine in their system, and I consistently tested negative for that.
Yeah, there was also meth in their system, which is your drug, correct?
Yes, that could be, I'm not sure. That could be from the clothes I was buying for them, and I was smoking around before, or I don't know. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not sure how that got in their system.
And you said, what did you say you thought your motion to revoke or motion to proceed on your prior criminal case was?
It was from payment issues, honestly. It wasn't for failed drug screenings. It wasn't for anything else. It was because it got continued because I didn't know that paying my probation fines and paying court costs were two different places. I thought it was all combined, honestly. So that's when they continued it. And then after that, it was just payment issues, not keeping up with my payments.
Okay. Are you aware that the motion to proceed that was admitted as evidence earlier states because you failed to report in March of 23, December of 23, January of 24, and by failing to complete a shoplifting theft class that was ordered by the court?
Yes, it was also because of the class, and then issues with rides. It wasn't drugs, it wasn't anything else.
Okay. Not issues
I
with
didn't forget about that.
Failed to appears.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, yes, but I would always sit there and call her and make up for those when I did do that.
Okay. But nowhere on here does it say anything about payment issues. It's because you didn't report and you failed to do the class as ordered by a court.
I honestly still get text messages from the payments for probation. I can show you it was one of the reasons as well. That's what my last probation officer, Miss Rafaela, I want to say Garcia,
Non-responsive, Your Honor.
sat there and said to me.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay. All right, Mr. Barfield, any further question?
Just briefly, Staci, what is the current state of your criminal case actions to your knowledge? In other words, what do you have defense attorneys in those cases?
I have not yet, honestly. No, I've spoken to the bail bonds and.
Okay, that's a yes or no question. Okay. Do you have defense attorney? Okay. Okay. Are you planning on asking the court to appoint you defense attorneys?
No, sir. I was honestly planning on asking you and getting to you for all that information.
Okay. Okay. And we can do that off YouTube later if that's what you still want to do. So as of right now, you don't know what the ultimate status of those cases are or where they are on a court docket or what? They
No,
haven't.
sir.
Okay. On your motion, do you have any court hearings that you're aware of that you're supposed to be going to?
No, sir. And I haven't missed one as well.
Okay. All right. All right. That's all the questions I have. Thank you, Staci.
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Lucero, anything further?
Further, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Zavala?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Trout, anything else?
Nothing for this witness, Your Honor.
All right. Any further witnesses?
Real quick, I just want to call Ms. Lane back real quick, Your Honor. It won't take just a second.
Okay. Ms. Lane, you're still under oath.
Okay.
Ms. Lane, again, is the Department of St. Francis asking the court today to terminate the mother's parental rights as to all three children?
Yes. Yes.
And are you also asking to terminate the father's parental rights as to all three children?
Yes.
And you believe that's in the best interest of all three?
Yes.
Based upon the failure for parents to complete services, for the endangering of the children, for the positive drug screens, for failure to complete their case in order to be reunited with their children?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that's in the best interest?
Yes, sir.
How, outside of mom's visits that she had with the kids while they were at her mother's?
Hang on just a second. Ms. Galvan, did you get that? Because I all of a sudden had a bunch of feedback.
Outside of visits that mom had without y'all's knowledge, when was mom's last scheduled visit or supervised visit by the department?
There were attempts to start visitation back in August of 2023 through Derek Milam, which is it would have been a therapeutic visitation. From the documented notes, mom and dad avoided meeting and stated they weren't doing visits through that way. And it was incorrect, so they ended up being discontinued.
Okay. So supervised directed visits by the department, by St. Francis, has been since prior to August or since August?
It was being set up prior to August, and about August is when Derek Milam decided to stop working with the family due to noncompliance.
Okay. And so since August, have there been any supervised visits supervised by St. Francis?
No.
We've been in this case, of course, over 2 years, or with the FBSS over 2 years. In
Yes.
our case, over a year. Can parents provide the housing necessities for the kids?
No, sir.
Have the department tried to, or have offered the parents the opportunity to work services and to reunify with the kids?
Yes.
And based upon the facts in y'all's case, in the case file, and the way that parents worked, are you also asking under of constructive abandonment?
Yes.
And you believe that is in the best interest of all 3 children?
Yes, sir, I do.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay. I'll give everybody an opportunity. Anybody have any other questions they want to ask Ms. Lane?
I'll just, Your Honor, Ms. Lane, why do you not believe that naming my client as a possessory conservator would not be in the best interest of the children?
Your client has had over 2 years with offered services paid for through not only probation, but through us. We had attempted to mitigate and make it as easy as possible for the family, placing with relatives. She acted in a dishonest manner, not willing to address the reasons for removal, and instead agreed to hide and not take responsibility for the drugs found in her children's system. So the safety and health and care of her children are disregarded for her own substance abuse, and she has not proven she can handle sobriety after 3 years of substance abuse. I don't know if Brooks is getting anything or if he's breaking in and out.
Yeah, I lost him.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Did you hear her answer?
I did not. Right as I'm bugged. For some reason, Zoom is throwing me in and out of this thing, so I'm sorry. I don't know how to fix it.
Do you want to try to log out and log back in?
Yeah, let me try that. Well, what was her answer? And let me get that real quick, because yeah.
Okay.
Ms. Lane.
The shorter answer. Ms. Thomas had over 2 years to engage in services to address the substance abuse. She deviated from that for those 2 years only until her children were taken from a relative. She has not provided best interest in her own children's needs, and moving forward, they need that for stability in their lives.
Okay, I believe that answers both the first question and the second question about. Well, I did ask about a prospective adoptive placement. Is there any plans for any prospective adoptive placement at this point?
They are in a legal risk home. However, Staci Thomas provided 2 names at the last hearing. One was a denied home study, but I do have her father's home study pending to be completed, read, and see where we can go.
And I believe there's been testimony in this trial that the department is still looking at relative placement in that regard. Is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
All right. Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Ms. Lane?
No.
Okay.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right then. All right, Mr. Trout, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Department rest?
Department rest.
Okay. Mr. Barfield.
Respondent rest.
All right, and Ms. Lucero.
I rest, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Zavala, anything to present?
No witnesses, I rest.
Okay. You have a recommendation to make?
I do, Your Honor. I do believe it's in the children's best interest at this time for the parental rights to be terminated. I am glad that mom is working on sobriety. I hope she continues that. If the children ended up being placed with family, there may be a possibility for a continued relationship with them. But at this point, they've been waiting their entire lives. And I believe it's not in their best interest to wait any longer.
I am going to adjudicate Ernesto Gonzalez as the father of all 3 children and establish the parent-child relationship. I find by clear and convincing evidence it is in the best interest of all 3 children to terminate the parental rights between their father and all of the children based on Texas Family Code, Section 161.001, subsection B1, the D, E, N, and O grounds, and the best interest under Texas Family Code 161.001, subsection B2, and his failure to register with the paternity registry under 161.002, B2. I find by clear and convincing evidence it is in the best interest of all three children to terminate the parental rights between the children and their mother, Staci Thomas, based on Texas Family Code 161001, subsection B1, the DE, N and O grounds in the best interest under 161001, subsection B2. I will name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the permanent managing conservator of all three children. And I will dismiss all court-appointed attorneys after the de novo and appellate timeframes expire, with the exception of Ms. Zavala, who will remain as the children's attorney and guardian ad litem. Docket. Ms. Thomas, I know this is very difficult, but I agree with Ms. Zavala. I just can't keep the kids waiting and waiting and waiting. You were very early on in any period of sobriety. And, I wish you the very best. I hope it goes well. I hope we find a relative placement for the children so that if you achieve your goals, you may be able to have a continued relationship with your children. But at this time, there's just not been enough real progress for me to be comfortable sending the kids home with you or to, quite frankly, leave them in this limbo. All right. I appreciate everybody. Thank you very much for juggling around today, and everybody is free to go unless you're still involved in our last case on the docket today. This is
Thank you.
we're resuming our final today that was originally called back on July 11th of 2024. We took substantial testimony that day, and so we're here to try to finish this up today. We are conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Galvan is making our record. All right, then. We'll go ahead and take announcements since we're here on a new day.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present ready, Your Honor.
Brooks Barfield for Alexis Jasso. We're both present and ready.
Gary Morales for respondent Father Elijah Castile. Your Honor, he executed an affidavit of relinquishment earlier today, and so he does not plan on attending this hearing. And I'm ready.
Sorry. Staci Zavala on behalf of Aviana and Maiden.
Okay. Looking back at notes. All right. Department had called Amy Bailey. We took her testimony. Department had offered exhibits 4, 5, and 6, which were admitted. That witness was passed and cross-examined and I think released at that time.
Correct. I believe that is what I have also.
All right, then. You want to call your next witness?
Yes, ma'am. I will call Yolanda Novak. All right. Did you receive what I just sent out? Exhibit number 25. Did it come through an email?
Yes.
Okay. And can you open that email?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did Dad, Elijah Castilla, did he execute an affidavit of voluntary relinquishment on the 15th day of August 2024?
Yes.
Did he sign that affidavit?
Yes, he did.
Was it notarized?
Scrolling. Yes, it is.
Were there 2 witnesses?
Yes, there are.
Has the department consented to being the designated managing conservator of the children?
Okay, you cut out. Can you repeat that?
Did the department consent to being the designated managing conservator of the children?
Yes.
And was that filed today, August 15th of 2024?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 25 is the file marked copy of the affidavit of voluntary relinquishment of parental rights that Ms. Novak just testified to.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, then the petitioner's exhibit 25 will be admitted.
Now, you're familiar with this case. Are you the current caseworker?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And how long have you been working this case?
Since November 2023.
When St. Francis first begins cases, what's your first steps in beginning a case?
They have an adversary hearing and then a status hearing, and we reach out to the parents to meet with them to develop a family plan of service.
Okay. Tell me what a family plan of service is.
Family plan of service is a tool that we use to address the parental behaviors that have caused the safety threats and the removal of the child or children.
It's an assessment that we use. We evaluate it and review it throughout the life of the case to document the progress or lack of progress from the parents for the required services.
Okay. Was that done in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was mom given family plans of service?
She was.
Okay. Can you look at exhibit number 1 for me? Okay. And can you tell me what exhibit number 1 is?
The first page is the notification of completed family plan of service.
Okay. So is this a family plan of service?
Yes, it is.
Is this a family plan of service that was generated for this case?
Yes.
And is this the family plan of service that was generated for mom?
Yes, it's the one in the beginning. It's not the current one.
Okay. But we've been in this case for a long time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Was this family plan of service filed with the court?
Yes.
Okay. Was it filed in May of 2022?
Yes.
Did mom sign this family plan of service?
Yes, she did on May 9th of 2022.
Okay. Are family plans of service made orders of the court?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And throughout this case, has mom's family plan of service been made in order of the court?
Yes.
Exhibit number 2, is that, what is that?
Notification of completed family plan of service?
Okay. So this is another family plan of service that was generated in this case?
Yes.
During the life of cases, depending on how things are going, are family plans ever amended, updated, additional services required, or new things developed that need to be done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When was this family plan of service filed?
Uh, 3/9/23.
Okay. So about almost a year after the first one, correct? You have to speak up, Ms. Novak.
Sorry. Yes, correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibits number 1 and number 2, their family plans of service that were just testified to.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, petitioners exhibit 1 and 2 will be admitted.
Ms. Novak, during the course of this case, what was mom ordered to do through her family plans of service?
Parenting, OSAR screening, maintain contact with the worker, maintain her own transportation, drug screening. In the beginning, she had relational behavior therapy, maintain stable housing, complete a psychosocial, individual counseling, a domestic violence support group, maintain stable employment.
Good. Did mom work services in this case? In the beginning, the first 2 family plans, did she work those services?
She did.
Did mom drug screen for us?
Been like throughout the life, she has sometimes, yes.
Okay. And what do you mean by she has sometimes?
Sometimes she has not gone as a no-show,
Okay.
and that's what I meant.
Okay. How often does that happen? The no cause, no show?
But there's
just approximately.
Sorry.
Ms. Novak, just approximately. I mean,
several.
Has she not shown up for drug screens here lately?
Correct, she has not.
Okay. So mom did some drug screening for us. Did she have any negatives throughout the case?
She had some, yes.
Okay. Did she have some positive drug screens during the case?
Yes, she did have some of those.
Okay. And were those positives, what were they positive for?
I have one in the court report for January 24, 2023. It was a hair strand positive for cocaine metabolite.
Okay. Do we have issues with hard drugs, alcohol? What is mom's main issue throughout the case?
Since then, it's been alcohol.
Okay. when was the last time mom drug screened for you? Or alcohol screened?
In May.
Okay.
It was May 30th.
Okay. And was it a negative or a positive at that time?
It was negative.
Okay. And was that a UA or a hair?
It was a UA.
Okay. So mom's been kind of hit or miss on whether she tested positive, whether she no-showed, or whether she was negative throughout the case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Kind of roller coasters. Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibits number 7 and 8. They are the affidavit of business records for the drug screens throughout this case that have been filed with the court and served to parties.
No objection.
Object as to the contents of the results themselves, but not as to the content of what's printed on the document.
No objection.
All right, did you say 7 and 8?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 7 and 8 will be admitted. As to, then the documents speak for themselves. I don't think the witness is qualified to interpret any of that data, but she can certainly read it. Just tell us what it says.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Novak, just to kind of lay history out, can you look at exhibit number 7 for me?
Yes.
Okay. On the second page of that exhibit, the first drug screen you see, is that for mom?
Yes.
Okay. And this was from December of 2022, is that correct? Top right.
Yes.
Okay. And this was for a hair follicle, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And was it a positive drug screen?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So kind of in the middle of the case, family plans were done in March of 22 when the first family plans were done?
Yes.
Okay. So about 9 months after family plans were done, we had positive drug screens for mom, correct? You want to speak up? I can hear you.
Sorry. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Now you know how we all feel, Mr. Trout.
Ma'am?
So now you know how we all feel, Mr. Trout.
Well, in my world, I'm speaking loud. I don't know why it didn't come through that way sometimes. So mom, after that, mom started a new family plan. Is that correct? After
Yes.
that drug screen. And then she worked through services again.
Yes.
Okay. Was mom on, did she ever go to an ISF program or anything like that?
Yes, she did.
Okay. When did she go through that?
I don't know the start date, but I have that she was attending in September of 2022.
Okay. Do you know when she got out of that ISF program?
I have that she was released on October 20th of 2022.
Okay. So within 2 months of getting out of a ISF program, she tested positive for cocaine on a hair follicle. Okay. Do you know, well, back up just a second. Your Honor, I would ask to admit, and there's going to be a few documents here, but exhibits 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. They are certified copies of criminal case involving Ms. Jasso.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, petitioners 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Novak, we'll try to get through these kind of quickly on what they are. If you would tell me what exhibit number 11 is.
Indictment.
Okay, is that an indictment for tampering to fabricate physical evidence?
Yes.
Okay. And exhibit number 12, what is that?
Order deferred adjudication.
Okay. And this was mama's order to defer for 3 years, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then exhibit number 13, what is that?
A motion to proceed with adjudication of guilt or original charge for Alexis.
Okay. Is exhibit number 14.
with adjudication of guilt or original charge.
Okay, and is that an amended motion to proceed?
Yes.
Exhibit number 15. What is that?
It just says order.
At the bottom of the first paragraph, in the bold writing, the last sentence, what is that?
It is therefore ordered, adjudicated, and decreed by the court. Do you want me to read the whole thing? Sorry.
I'm gonna back up. Bottom of the last paragraph.
Oh, I'm sorry. Extended original community supervision period for 1 year and amended to include ISF as part of a plea agreement.
Okay. So is that when mom was ordered to ISF?
Yes.
Okay. And then what is exhibit number 16?
Supplemental order amending conditions of probation.
Okay. And then exhibit number 17?
Supplement order amending conditions of probation.
Okay. And then exhibit number 18.
Supplemental order amending conditions of probation.
Okay. And beside the number 300, what does that sentence say?
As an alternative to incarceration, the original probation period is extended 12 months.
Okay. And when was that signed and entered?
April 25th of 2024.
Okay. And so, as of just about 5 months ago, mom's been extended another year on probation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during this case, mom worked through her service, got out of ISF, had positive drug screen, but then worked through services enough to be reunited. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when did that reunification happen?
2023.
In 2023.
Sorry?
When in 2023?
October.
Okay. Thank you. Did we have a few struggles at the beginning of that reunification?
Yes, there was.
Okay. And what were those struggles?
There was miscommunication when for the visits and when she was supposed to pick up the children.
Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to find it in my notes.
Were there any issues with trying to get drug screens done?
Yes, and maintaining contact with the worker.
Okay. And this all happened right before you took over the case, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you took the case over in November of 23.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did the reunification process go after you took over the case?
Started to see them weekly. She was somewhat difficult sometimes to meet with. I'm sorry. She, like, I'd send her to drug screen and she wouldn't have received the message, said she didn't have her phone or she left her phone somewhere. And then I did an unannounced visit one day and the children were left with a teenager. And then in January, she was positive for alcohol again.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, so you said that there was time when children were left in the care of a teenager. Had that teenager been approved?
No.
Did you even know that teenager's name at the time?
Didn't even know until I was there, and Alexis wasn't there. I waited an hour for her to come back and she showed up. And then, so I asked the child's name and it was not okay for the child to be with a teenager or the children to be with a teenager.
Okay. And did that happen on one occasion or more than one occasion?
For me, it was one occasion. I did have a couple of the workers fill in for me, and they would knock on the door and the children would be there, but mom she came up from downstairs. So she wasn't present at first, but she was there shortly after.
Okay. Did y'all have multiple conversations with mom about the rules during reunification?
Yes, and we did an amended reunification plan after the incident with the teenager.
Okay. During reunification, did y'all have to do amended reunification plans more than once?
Just once that I know of.
Okay, while you were on the case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you mentioned that she had test positive for alcohol, is that correct?
Correct, she did.
Okay. And that's why while the children were in her care?
Correct.
Okay. And, on exhibit, can you pull up exhibit number 8 for me that was admitted earlier?
Yes.
Okay. And it may take you a little while to get to it, but about midway through that business records, look for the date specimen collected 1/20/24. Okay. And what is that test? Does it state the specimen type?
It was a urine.
Okay. And is this when y'all asked for a alcohol test?
Yes.
Okay. And can you read under the levels, can you read the numbers for me?
The first level was 37,976.
Okay. And what's the second level?
6,977.
Okay. And that was on an alcohol test that y'all had requested?
Yes.
Okay. After that, once that test came back, did y'all ask for a re-removal from the reunification process?
Yes, it took a while for it to come in.
Okay. And was that all based on multiple issues that have compounded up to that point?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, did you feel it was in the best interest of the children to remove from others' care?
Yes.
Okay. What happened? What was your process after re-removal? What happened?
So we evaluated her family plan of service and not totally redo it, but we adjusted it because of the recent removal.
Okay. And can you look at exhibit number 10 for me?
All right.
That's fine. What is number 10?
Let me go back. It is a family plan evaluation.
Okay. And is this a new family plan of some services you needed mom to work on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And was this filed with the court?
Yes, it was.
Did mom sign it?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And due to there being orders of the court for mom to work service plans, is this a type of amended service plan that you would do after the re-removal?
Okay,
Yes.
I can hear you.
Did I cut
Daniel,
out?
I couldn't hear the last half of your sentence.
Okay. Is this type of service plan under the prior orders that mom work services or any amended services? Is this a service plan or amended service plan for mom to work?
Yes.
Okay. Did mom sign this service plan?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 10 as the service plans that were just testified to.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 10 will be admitted.
And Judge, on this exhibit, I don't really know how to say this, but it appears on the very last page of this service plan, a drug screen from another case got picked up and scanned in and filed. So when these printed out from the clerks, that drug screen is attached at the back of it for some reason. So I just want to say, can we disregard that because that is to a completely different case and I don't know how that got in there.
All right, counsel, any objections?
No objection.
Yeah, that clarifies the record that the last page is not pertaining to this case.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Novak, since the re-removal back in earlier this year, what has mom been required or asked to do?
To provide any change in her information within 5 days to St. Francis.
Okay.
To maintain regular contact with the caseworker, obtain her own transportation, maintain a drug-free lifestyle, maintain stable housing, stable and appropriate employment for 6 months, individual counseling to discuss the reason of the recent removal, a psychosocial with counseling, substance abuse assessment with an OSAR, attend AA or NA meetings or celebrate recovery, and in that one, attend AANA meetings or celebrate recovery and obtain a sponsor who will work with St. Francis Ministries in her recovery by communicating with St. Francis about her attendance and status of recovery.
Okay.
That she will participate in a 12-step program.
Okay. Are there services that mom has not completed?
Yes.
What are those?
I have not been notified if she has a sponsor.
Okay.
So that is incomplete. She has employment, but she hasn't always turned in check stubs. She did complete counseling.
Okay.
That's it, sir.
Okay. Has the mother been drug screened for you?
Not consistently.
And what do you mean by not consistently?
She did not drug screen for me in June or July.
Okay.
Of 2024?
2024.
Okay.
So here recent. So you haven't had a screen from mom since May?
May.
Okay. Have you reached out to her and tried to get her to screen?
Yes, I've texted. In June, I texted. In July, I texted and called with no response from her.
Okay. How has your contact with mom been lately?
I saw her face to face. She did come to the office and meet with me and my supervisor in June. I did not have good contact with her in July, between texting, asking when we could meet with no response. I did unannounced visits and I caught her at the end of July for 30 seconds for an unannounced visit. She stated that she had lost my number and I asked if her number was still the same and she said yes. And I was like, well, I've been texting and calling your number, haven't been able to get through. I don't know what's wrong there, but and then that was it for July.
Okay. Where is mom? Does mom have stable housing?
The last I knew that she was still living with her sister. Currently, she reported that she has housing that was her grandmother's house that I don't know if she inherited or she's purchasing it.
When has that been since? Like, when did that happen?
I am not sure. She reported that to the FSW. I have not been to that address or received that address from her yet.
Okay. When were you made aware that that is where she was?
I don't remember the exact date.
Okay. Has it been in the last month?
It was just like either last week or the week before, just a few weeks ago.
Okay. Do you know how long mom had been in that house?
I do not know.
Okay. When's the last time you saw mom at her sister's house?
In July.
Okay. So in July, she was with her sister. And now she is, within the last couple of weeks, you know that she's been in another house. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So is it, from the dates that you have, it's just safe to say within the last month, she has gone from her sister's to that house?
Correct.
Okay. Do you have the address for that house?
I do not. I believe the family support worker does, but I do not.
Family support worker didn't give you that house address?
He can.
Okay.
I haven't gotten it from him. He might have sent it to me earlier.
Okay.
Sorry.
Did mom ever tell you that's where she was living, or did you only know that through the family support worker?
Only through the family support worker.
Okay. How old are the children at this time?
6 and 4.
Okay.
Or no, I'm sorry, 6 and 5.
Okay. And they've been in care for how long?
Sorry, Aiden is 4. So they're 6 and 4. I apologize.
Okay.
They have been in care since April of 2022.
Okay. So Aiden at 4 years old is been in care for a little over half his life.
Correct.
Okay. And Aviana's been in care for about a third. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Has mom shown any change in her behaviors since you've been working the case?
I don't think she has.
Okay. And can you elaborate on that? Why do you not think she has?
She hasn't shown stability long-term for employment, a safe support system of who her children are around with her. She hasn't shown evidence of maintaining sobriety.
Okay. speaking of sobriety, she's missed the last 2 drug screens. Are those considered presumed positives?
Yes.
Mom's reasoning was new phone, didn't have your phone number. Is that what you testified to earlier?
Those have been her excuses in the past. I don't know because I haven't been able to have a conversation with her since the first part of June.
Okay. So you have no idea why she just didn't go in June and July when you sent her?
Correct.
Okay. When you sent her, did she ever respond to any of your messages?
No, sir.
Okay. And so this kind of goes back to when we were trying to reunification, it was hit or miss whether she would go screen for us.
Yes.
So since around the beginning of reunification back last year, we're still kind of having the same issues. Can you say that one more time? You kind of cut out.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Mom has not had stable housing for the last 6 months, has she?
No, correct.
And to your knowledge, how many places has she lived in the last 3 months? Or excuse me, the last 6 months?
2 would be her sister and the new place that she's at that I know of.
Okay. Before she was with her sister, where was she?
She had her own apartment.
Okay. And when did she move out of that?
I believe it was April.
Okay. So in the last 6 months, there's been 3 places that you know of.
Sorry, that correct. I wasn't counting that one. Sorry.
Okay. The job, you mentioned that she'd given some pay stubs, but hasn't lately. Where was she working?
She reported that she was working at Totem.
Okay. And when did you get, what pay stubs did you get? When were those from?
I got pay stubs from the middle of May and the first part of June I saw her in person in June, and I haven't had anything since June, the first part of June.
Okay. To your knowledge, do you know if she's still working there or not?
I don't.
Okay. Before the Toot and Totem job, was she working?
She said that she was doing odd jobs. I don't think she had an employer per se since January.
Okay. At this time, your opinion, has Mom completed her services or worked her service plan successfully? You have to say that one more time.
No.
Okay. And why do you feel that way?
She hasn't proven stability in those areas, and she hasn't completed all of them.
Are you asking the court today to terminate Mom's parental rights as to both children?
Yes.
And is that based on one failure to work service plans?
Yes.
Best interest of the children?
Yes.
Due to Mom still being unstable in her living and, to your knowledge, her work life at this time? Yes. Mom has not drug screened lately for you?
Correct.
Which are presumed positive drug screens?
Correct.
And throughout this case, Mom's been made aware that not going to drug screen are presumed positives?
Correct.
Have you had that conversation with her?
Yes.
Multiple times?
Yes. Every time that I've sent her to drug screen and able to speak with her, I always remind her that that's a possibility.
Okay. Where are the children now?
In a foster home.
How are they doing?
They're doing well. They're starting school this week.
Are they hitting milestones?
Yes.
Developmental, they're doing well?
Yes.
Any medical issues with them?
Aviana will have a follow-up this month. I don't know if she's had it yet for her hearing. She failed a school hearing test, and Aiden will have a follow-up for his vision. But I don't know the date of their follow-up, but it was for August.
Okay. Do you believe that terminating Mom's parental rights is in the best interest of these children?
I do.
Is placement at this time, are they, is that an adoption motivated? Is it home?
I think they would be, yes, if they're available.
Okay. So that decision had been made depending on the availability of adoption.
Right.
Okay. Is Mom getting visits right now?
Yes.
Are they in person, virtual?
in person for an hour a week. Sorry, an hour a week.
Are they supervised?
Yes.
So after being in this case for over 2 years, mom is still at an hour a week supervised visits.
Right.
Okay. Does she make those visits?
Yes.
Will you ever have any issues of her making those visits?
There's been a few times she's missed or miscommunication, but for the most part, she's made her visits.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Barfield?
Thank you, ma'am. Let's just start out kind of where you ended. In those visits with mom, how did the mom and the children react to one another?
Well, they usually have them at a restaurant, and she, purchases food for them. They interact. We're all well with each other.
Do the children appear to have a bond with Alexis? And
I don't personally supervise those visits, so I can't firsthand say that what the interaction is.
okay, have you gotten any reports that the visits have gone badly?
No, I have not.
So based on that fact, do you think that had the visits gone badly, you would receive said report?
Correct, I would.
So do you think it would be at least safe to assume the visits have gone without incident, we'll just phrase it that way, during those 1 hour visits at the restaurants?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that if the children had voiced concern or voiced the fact they didn't want to visit mom, that would have been reported to you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in this case, the children at one point were returned to mom, and we're not going to rehash that testimony, I promise. And then they were removed again, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so she has completed the majority of her services except for what you've already testified to. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and basically she has been, I believe you worded at times providing information to St. Francis within 5 days of any change of residency or anything like that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now I would guess the most concerning part to you about this case is the missed drug screens in the month of June, July. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. And so as we sit here, we don't know whether Alexis would be clean or dirty or what have you. Is that accurate?
Yes, I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. Now, when is the last time, and if you answered this before, I mean, it's getting to be a long day for me to, when is the last time you actually had communication with Alexis?
I saw her briefly on July 26th.
Okay, and I think you testified to that. I just couldn't remember what the date was. And was that brief visit that you testified to?
Yes.
Okay. Now, has she been able to find transportation for herself?
I don't know about her job, getting to her job and stuff. But for transportation for visits, we've been providing it for her.
Okay. So y'all have been providing visits so she could make the visits.
Yes.
Okay. Did you make that? Did you transport her or did another worker transport her?
The worker, our family support worker.
All right. Thank you. Now, when was the last negative drug test in this case?
May.
Okay. And was that a UA or hair follicle?
It was an alcohol UA and a regular UA.
Okay.
They were both.
All right. And now your main concern in this case, it was the drug of choice, if we phrase it that way, would be alcohol. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when you say that Alexis had not had stable housing in the past 6 months, what do you mean by stable housing?
Well, when she moved from her apartment, she moved in with her sister that I was aware of.
Okay.
And the children, like, she needed her own place.
Okay.
Being with her sister wasn't a safe place or a stable place.
Okay. Okay. And since then, she has since moved, to your knowledge, she has moved out from her sister's. Is that your understanding?
That's what I've been told, yes.
Okay. And I believe you've testified you've not had the opportunity to see her current residence, which I believe is her grandmother's house. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know if she's employed at this particular time?
I do not since June.
Since
Do not
June.
know.
Okay. So the last time you knew she had a job was that was in June. Was that when she was working at Wendy's?
No, Toot and Totem
Toot
is
and
what I
Totem.
knew of.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Did she provide pay information to you for that, or pay stubs, or were you able to definitely confirm that Toot and Totem job?
She had check stubs, pay stubs.
Okay. All right. Basically, are you aware as of the last contact whether she was attending AA meetings or not?
Not knows. The last time that I knew that she had said she was attending AA was in June.
Okay.
And at that point, she stated she had not had a sponsor yet.
Okay. Is it sometimes hard to find a sponsor in AA or NA?
I don't know the answer to that.
Fair enough. I'll pass the witness.
Okay, Mr. Morales,
No question, John.
Ms. Avella?
Yes, Sherman. Okay, I just want to make sure I've got the timeline correct. These kids have been in here since April 1st of 22, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and prior to that removal, mom had worked a family-based case for a year.
From my understanding, yes.
And that originated when she drove with the kids in the car, intoxicated.
Yes.
So mom has been working with CPS directly since 2021.
Yes.
When the children were placed back in her home, I want to talk a little bit about why they were removed. You discussed them being left with a teenager. And then there was a discussion with mom that wasn't appropriate, and that the teenager's family member had bad criminal background, and that was not approved, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then after that time, were there several times when the door was opened by the kids and the oldest person appeared to be a 9 or 10-year-old girl?
Right.
And then mom showed up later from the outside.
Yes.
Okay. And this was after the discussion that a 14-year-old should not be the one taking care of them, but instead it was a 9 or 10-year-old.
Correct.
Okay. During that same time, were there concerns about the condition of mom's home? For example, feces being stepped on in the children's bedroom?
Yes. At times that was.
At about January 20th, she reported she was working at Wendy's, but when you called Wendy's, they said, no, she hasn't been working here since January 1st.
That is correct.
Right around that same time period, she was positive on an alcohol screening.
Correct, but we didn't know that until the end of January.
Okay. So it wasn't that the kids were removed just simply because a 14-year-old was there one day.
Correct.
Since that time of removal, re-removal, the kids have been in the same placement.
Yes.
Are they doing well there?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Are they happy and adjusted to living in that home?
Yes, they're bonding well with the foster family. They just fit right in. Every time I've seen them, they are excited to show me all the things of the home and their animals they have, and they just feel at home, or they seem to be at home from my perspective.
Okay. So after years in this process, the kids are settling in. Meanwhile, mom's just not really communicating much with you.
Correct. At times.
And the alcohol screenings in June or July just aren't a priority for her.
Correct.
Communication with you is not a priority for her.
Correct.
During the vast majority of their lives, have these children been a priority for her?
It doesn't seem like it.
Pass witness.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry. Trying to remember if she's your witness. Yeah, Mr. Trout. I'm sorry. Been a long day.
Yes, ma'am. Just a few questions, Your Honor. Ms. Novak, you've said a couple of times that you saw mom in the July I think around the 26th of July, is that correct?
Yes, July 26th.
And you said for a brief moment. Can you explain what you mean by that? Why was it only a brief moment if you hadn't heard from her in almost 2 months?
When I approached the home, there was a child outside and the door was cracked open. And I knocked and somebody said, come in, but I didn't feel comfortable entering in the home. So the child outside pushed the door open and it was like a living room. And Alexis was asleep in a bed under the covers in the living room. And she raised her head and saw that it was me. And she said that she was sick. And so I stayed at the door and I stated that, I've been trying to contact you, been wanting to meet with you. And she's like, and that's when she told me that she lost my number. And I asked her if her number was still the same. And she said, yes. And I said, okay, well, I've been calling and texting your number. I don't know why it's not going through. And I told her I would try to meet with her the following week. Okay. So it was just brief.
Did she make a comment about she had received the text or hadn't received them, or did she say anything about it?
No comment.
Okay. Has she reached out to you since then?
I did receive a text on August 2nd asking if it was me, and I responded yes, and then there was nothing after that.
Okay. I believe, let me see.
I've texted after that, but I haven't received anything from her since August 2nd. Excuse me.
Okay. And in your report on this matter, it says you texted twice and called once with no reply. When were those? Was that right after you left or a week or so after that conversation?
On July 18th, I texted and called and left a message. Okay. And on the 26th, earlier that morning, I texted asking just, her availability, but it was before I went to the home with no reply from that as well.
Okay. And just for our purposes, when you text somebody in your cases, in this case, Alexis, do you tell them who it is? This is Yolanda, and then, or do you just send a text that says something?
Up for you.
No, sorry, just tell me.
Yeah, I usually state my name just in case, just so they know. I say, hey, this is Yolanda, or at the end, I'll have my first and last name at the end.
Okay. So if somebody picked it up, it wouldn't seem like just a random text because you do tell them who it is.
Yes, and I address it to hi, Alexis, or hello with her name on it.
Okay.
I try to.
I'll pass the witness, Shannon.
All right. Ms. Barfield, further questions?
I have no other questions.
Okay. And Mr. Morales?
No questions, John.
Ms. Zavala?
No further questions.
Okay. All right, then, Mr. Trout, any further witnesses?
Judge, let me ask Ms. Novak one more question because I can't remember if I asked this or not because it has been a long day. Ms. Novak, I think we went over, but you are asking for termination of the mother's parental rights.
Correct.
And you do believe it's in the best interest of the children to remain where they are.
I do.
And allow them to be adopted if they become available.
I do. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll pass the witness now, Young. Sorry.
Okay. Anybody have anything else?
Nothing further.
All right. So, Mr. Trout, any further witnesses?
Call Alexis Jasso, Young.
Okay. Sasso,
Yes,
you'll
sir.
unmute for me?
You've been here for the testimony so far?
Yes.
Okay. When did you move residences?
About a month ago. I've been trying to clean out my grandma's house because she had passed away. And so I was on, trying to clean it out to get it ready for me to move in.
Okay. When did you have you moved into it yet?
Yes.
When did you move into it?
A month ago. I had paid the rent for a couple of months so that I could, start cleaning it out and start moving my stuff in. But I just had to get rid of, her bed and her couches and stuff like that so that I could put mine in.
Okay. So if you moved in about a month ago, but you were at your sister's house on a bed a couple weeks ago. So were you staying at both places or were you staying at one or the other?
I was staying at both. I was mainly staying at my sister's until I got my bed inside the house at my grandma's because I needed help to remove all her things out of her house. So that's why I was staying at my sister's, but I was going to my grandma's to clean it out.
Okay. Why haven't you notified Ms. Novak where you're living?
Because I've been trying to get a hold of her. I even asked the transportation guy that gives me my rides to go see my kids for her number. And so I texted that number because every time I trying to get a hold of her either at work or I'm just getting off. And so I texted and I didn't get no response. So I asked him again, are you sure that's her number? Well, I made a phone call because he didn't answer my text. And he had gave me the office number and not her cell phone number. So that's why she wasn't getting any of my texts when I was sending those off, because it was the office number. So then he gave me her cell phone number, and that's when I had contacted her, is this Yolanda? And for some reason I haven't been getting her text or her calls.
So you haven't gotten any text or calls from her in the last couple months?
No, the only one I had sent was, is this Yolanda? And that's it. I haven't got any responses or anything. So I wasn't for sure what was going on. So I asked Tristan if he has talked to her.
Okay. You understand the concern, because these are kind of the same excuses we've been having for over a year with trying to get in touch with you.
Well, no, because I've been trying to get a hold of her. That's why I was asking Tristan. Okay. Because I know they talk on a daily basis.
Okay. You still working?
Yes, sir.
Where are you working?
At Toon Totem.
How long you been there?
Since this will be my 3rd month. My 90-day period would be today. So it'll be 3 months today.
Okay. Have you sent any verification or pay stubs like you're supposed to be doing?
Yes.
Okay. When was the last one you sent?
I could not remember because I had got a new phone, and so that's why I was trying to get Yolanda's number to give her those pay stubs.
Yeah. You've been working with the department for a long time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's fair to your children to have to be languishing in care for this long?
No, sir.
How long do you think they have to wait?
It shouldn't be. I was just incarcerated, so that's why it's prolonged.
Have you you still on probation?
I am, and I'm the one that asked for the extension because of my situation that I'm going through.
When's the last time you drank?
It's been since May.
Okay. So even after your children were removed for alcohol, you still continue to drink?
No.
They were removed when? Re-removed from you when?
I believe in the end of June, or no, I don't remember. It was the end of one of the months.
You don't remember when your children were re-removed from your care?
No. I don't remember the exact date, just because I was thrown, I had to do all these services, get a job, get a house. So that's why I just been having a lot going on. And then my grandma got sick and was in the hospital for a while.
You mean you had to grow up and be an adult?
No, sir. It's always been like this. So I've been trying to, keep it together.
So children were removed in January 1st of February. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. And you just said you drank in May was the last time.
I don't remember.
No, you testified a second ago that you last drank in May is what you just told me.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll ask the question again. After your children were removed, partly because you were drinking while they were in your care again, you still continued to drink?
No, I don't remember when the last time I drank. I've been going to AA, so I couldn't tell you. It's been a while.
Okay. So are you changing your testimony now as to when you last drank?
Yes, because I don't remember.
Okay. I'll pass the witness right now, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Barfield?
Thank you, Judge. Alexis, currently your grandmother's house, what is it, a home, house, apartment, condominium?
It's a house.
How many bedrooms?
It's a 2-bedroom.
Is it paid for? Or are you having to pay, a mortgage? What's the situation there?
Well, I'm renting it, but before she passed away, the landlord was going to give it to her. So I'm just trying to figure out what's going to happen with it.
Okay, so your grandmother did not own the house, she rented the house.
Yes, sir.
And so the landlord allowed you to move in the house to take over your grandmother's payments.
Yes, sir.
And do you intend to stay there?
I do.
And and so it's 2 bedrooms. It's what we would call a single family dwelling. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does anyone else live there with you?
No.
Did you notify the apartment when you moved into your grandmother's house, or attempt to notify?
Well, I was trying to get a hold of Yolanda, and when
Yes or no question, Alexis.
sorry.
Did you attempt to notify the department?
Yes,
Okay. Do you know if the department received that communication?
I did not.
Okay, thank you. Now, how long have you been there?
This will be my 2nd month starting.
Okay. So you've had a stable job for 3 months at Toot and Totem, and you've had stable, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've had stable housing in your grandmother's house for 2 months, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you've explained that you were having some communication issues in communicating and getting your drug test done. You recall your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Did you take any, what other steps, if any, did you take to contact anyone, or did you have any other contact information with the department to make contact?
I've tried. I got a hold of Tristan, and that's when I asked for her number.
And just for clarity of the record, who is Tristan?
He's the transportation guy that supervises my visits.
So earlier in this case, we heard testimony that you've been provided transportation to the visits with the kiddos.
Yes, sir.
And Tristan is the individual that you would transport you.
Yes.
Okay. And how often would that be?
Every week, once a day for an hour.
Okay. And where would those visits take place?
Either the park or McDonald's, whatever was appropriate at that time.
Okay. And in your opinion, how did those visits go?
Very well.
Now, have you missed any visits? Say, we're going to limit this to say since May.
I missed one because I was working.
Okay. All right. Is that the only visit you missed?
Yes. And the only reason why I missed is because they changed the time on me.
All right. Now, you testified, and I was sitting here listening to it. You testified that the last time you had a drink was in May. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes, but I wasn't for sure.
Okay. Well, was it since January? So after the kiddos were removed, did you drink at any time after the kids were removed?
No.
Okay. And I believe you did have a negative test in May. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. In regards to your ability to care for the kids, can you financially support yourself and kiddos and stuff like that?
Yes.
Okay. Are you continuing to attend AA?
Yes.
How many meetings do you attend per month?
Well, I try to go every day. So I do like maybe 15 at the most because of my hours at work.
Okay. And just for curiosity, what are your hours at work?
I work from 3 to close, which is 1. And then some days I work from 5 in the morning to 3. Okay. So it just depends on what hours I get.
Now, there's no question your kids have been involved in this case for quite some time. And you agree that's not fair to them, correct?
No.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I do agree. I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, are you asking, however, that you not be terminated today?
Yes.
Do you feel that you're in a place in your grandmother's house and with your job and attending AA every day that you could at least be a possessory conservator to stay in their lives and then attempt to get them back into your care at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my main goal right now.
Okay. Do you understand how that this can't go on forever? You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I don't want it to. It's hard for my kids and myself.
Okay. So you're asking the court to make you a possessory conservator today?
Yes.
Okay. Because there's no way the court could jump from 1 hour a week to giving you the kids back. You understand that, don't you?
I do. And it's not enough time. They wanted me to be stable for 6 months and only give me 2 months to get everything done.
Well, the case has been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, I understand that too.
Do you feel you have a bond with your children?
I do.
Do you feel your children have a bond with you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel it will be in the best interest of your children to have your parental rights terminated?
No.
Okay. Do you believe that you can be a positive role model in the future for your children?
Yes.
All right. Pass the witness.
Okay. Ms. Zavala, any questions?
I have no questions of this witness.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any further questions for Ms. Jasso?
No questions.
Okay, Mr. Trout, any further witnesses?
I still got a couple of questions from Ms. Hasso real quick, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I won't have any other witnesses after that. Ms. Hasso, you said you've been going to AA.
Yes.
When did you start going to AA?
When they told me, well, I've attended a couple different ones, but when I started finding the right one was in February.
Okay, so right after the children were removed?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a sponsor yet?
I do not, because they told me it's just, you can't just go and pick someone. You have to have a relationship or something to.
I understand. Just, do you have a sponsor at this time?
No.
Okay. And you made a statement a second ago, and Mr. Barfield kind of addressed it, but you stated that you only had a couple of months to get this stuff completed and to get your housing situation and everything stable. But you've had over 2 years, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you stated that it was hard for your kids and yourself. But you again have had over 2 years, and all of this is based on you, on whether when you got your kids back, correct?
Yes.
This whole case depended on how hard you worked and how hard and determined you were to get your children back. Correct?
Yes.
The ball was in your court. You worked your services, changed the way things were going, and you could have your children back, correct?
Yes.
And in over 2 years, and essentially 3 years working with the department, you have yet to get to that point. Is that fair for your kids?
No.
Now pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody else have any questions for Ms. Hasso?
Just one I forgot to ask, Judge.
Sure.
When you're since you don't have a sponsor, when you feel like drinking or anything, what do you do? What do you do to, instead of drinking, what do you do now?
I attend those meetings.
Okay. All right. And does that help?
It does, because then when I go, I don't feel alone.
Okay. All right. And do you attend the same place when you go to the meetings?
I do.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I have, Judge.
All right. Anybody have any further questions for this witness?
No question, John.
All right, Mr. Trout, does the department rest?
Department rest, Your Honor.
All right, and then Mr. Barfield
We rest.
and Mr. Morales.
Rest, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala, anything to present today other than your recommendation?
No witnesses, I rest.
All right, Ms. Zavala, do you have a recommendation to make?
I do, Your Honor. I've been working with these kids for a long time. Being in limbo has been incredibly hard on them. They are in a great place right now. They are thriving and excited about the future. I do believe that it is in their best interest for parental rights to be terminated at this time. Kids aren't just a when my phone is working kind of situation, and they deserve to move on and have some permanency.
All right, at this time, I find by clear and convincing evidence it is in the best interest of the children to terminate the parental rights between the children and their father, Elijah Castillo, based on his voluntary affidavit of relinquishment of parental rights under Texas Family Code 161.001 B1K, and the best interest under Texas Family Code section 161.001 subsection B2. I also find by clear and convincing evidence that it is in the best interest of the children to terminate the parental rights between the children and their mother, Alexis Jasso, based on Texas Family Code section 161.001 subsection B1, the E and the O grounds, and the best interest under Texas Family Code 161.001 subsection B2. I'm going to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the permanent managing conservator of the children, and I will continue their current placement. I'll dismiss all court-appointed attorneys after the de novo and appellate timeframes expire, with the exception of Ms. Zavala, who will remain in the case. Our first review hearing will be on November 7th on a 9 o'clock docket. Ms. Hasso, I will just tell you that this saddens me greatly. I have hoped for 867 days that we would reach a point where it was safe for the children to be with you. All I can say is I wish you continued luck in achieving sobriety. You sadly, you have placed your children in dangerous situations on a number of occasions. And, your failure to drug screen or to go alcohol screen for us the last 2 months just kind of put me over the top because you have demonstrated over and over that you've got a problem with alcohol and a problem that presents a danger to children. And I just cannot in good conscience put the children back with you and go to sleep tonight thinking that all is going to be well and that they will be okay. They're little, they're 4 and they're 6. They don't, they have no ability to say, no, mom, no, don't drive, mom, or we don't want to get in the car with you. They're just too young for that. And so I hate this. I really do. And I wish you luck in the future. I hope this will be a life-changing thing for you. And Ms. Zavala will, of course, keep a close eye on the children, and I'll see everybody back in November.
I have a question, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I going to be able to still have any visits with my kids or be updated on them?
Ms. Zavala, what's your feeling about a goodbye visit?
I want to make sure it doesn't turn into something extraordinarily traumatic for the kids. I would like to be able to see a goodbye visit. I would. So I just hope that everybody can remain calm and that be a positive and productive visit. But I'd like to see mom be able to have that.
Ms. Hasso, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of it. All these people know I'm not big fans of goodbye visits because they can be very difficult for you and for the children, quite frankly. But I will allow St. Francis to get that set up. It will, of course, be supervised. And if things become, you're going to have to go in there with an iron will and be positive for your children. And if it's a meltdown, then they're gonna stop it because it's just too emotionally hard on the kids. So I'm giving you just a heads up in advance that these things can turn very difficult in a big hurry, and so I'm not going to put the kids through an emotional ringer. It's going to be hard enough for them as it is. So I want you to think about this and decide whether this is really what you want to do. And, certainly you can discuss that with your attorney, and anybody else that you trust and trust their input on such a matter. But if you do want it, then you can let Ms. Novak know that, and they will get that arranged. But give it a little thought before you just completely decide to do that.
Judge, may I say something before we get off the record real quick?
Yes, certainly.
Your question on had we ever adjudicated dad? He did paternity testing, and in the permanency hearing order from January 9th of 2024, he was adjudicated in that.
Okay, then I'm not losing my mind.
Yeah, we did paternity testing back in 23, and we adjudicated him in that order from January of 24.
Okay, I just probably didn't have that note in front of me, and I'm sorry so for the confusion. I thought that we had, but anyway, like I said, it's just been a long day, and
yes, ma'am.
So my apologies, and then ruling with respect to termination will stand on him.
Yes, ma'am.
So okay, I appreciate everybody, and I hope everybody has a good evening, and I'll see everybody next week.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.